Okay, but for now, we're calling this meeting to order, and we ask everyone to rise to the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America and to our Texas flags.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
1:37 p.m. is the time. It's April 20th, 2022. We're on the third floor of Nueces County Commissioners. We're in Nueces County Commissioners Courtroom on the third floor of Nueces County Courthouse, certify that a quorum is present. I do ask Commissioner Modis to unmute and so that we can check with him and see him. Okay, when somebody notices, we'll mark him down, but for now, there's 4 of us here, and I do certify again that a quorum has been established. So we'll move straight into our agenda for today, which is preceded by the announcement on disclosures or conflicts of interest. And so, is there any conflict of interest or appearance of a conflict of interest with items on this agenda? It needs to be declared at this time. Members with conflicts need to refrain from voting and are asked to refrain from discussion on such items. Conflicts discussed later in the meeting can be disclosed at that time as well. Okay, no conflicts either on any of the issues that we have. Okay, we'll move to the safety briefing and just give us a brief safety briefing.
Good morning, as you were. Good afternoon, Judge,
Yes.
Commissioners. We're meeting here today in the third floor of the Nueces County Courthouse, 901 Leopard Street. As you know, the restrooms are located on the right side of the third floor atrium as you exit the courtroom past the Human Resources Office. Please note there's fire extinguisher located at the rear of the courtroom. There are also 5 additional fire extinguishers throughout the third floor atrium area. In the event of a cardiac emergency, an AED is located next to the Human Resources Office. In the event of emergency, participant responsible for dialing 911 would be Connie. In the event of evacuation, our egress route will be down the atrium stairs, exiting LaPan Street entrance, and assembling in the parking lot across the street. Should there be a need to shelter in place, court attendees will remain in the courtroom. Depending upon the severity of the incident, the courtroom's double doors will be secured and remain secured until given further instructions from the Nueces County Sheriff's Office or other law enforcement agencies. That concludes my safety brief.
All right, super, thank you so much. Is there public comment at this time, Belinda? Okay, I don't see any online, but would ask if there is any, please designate your virtual hand icon now. Okay, seeing none in the courtroom, hallways, or online. I will note for the record that Commissioner Modis's video is on and I can see him, so please note that he is present for this meeting.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Regular agenda item 2A1. Discuss and consider the work authorization number 8 relating to the ERAP, Haggerty Consulting, providing for increase in the not-to-exceed amount and time extension. Discuss and consider the amended Haggerty work authorization related to the ARPA support. And I'll just turn this over to Ade.
Yes, Judge. So this is just to continue with the ERAP 2 program that the court approved to go with the city as well, and this is just necessary to continue to providing these services.
All right. Okay, is there a motion to get this work authorization going so that we can continue to provide these services? I know they're,
I'll second, but just for a discussion.
got it. Motion and a second for the clerk. Discussion, please. Go ahead.
I'm really not happy about the extension or having to pay $24,000 more. But if we're gonna do it, I'm just gonna say, is there written anywhere, or do we have to do like an agreement beyond this to say, no, we're not going beyond the 24,000, 24,000 is used, it stops. I mean, I'm just saying, because I mean, I don't want to have to come back and say, well, we used it, but we're going to ratify, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You know, I want to make sure that it stops, you know, at 24,000.
And we have a contract ready with them. This is just to be able to continue providing the services.
Okay. To continue providing services for 24 more thousand, and once that's used, it's it.
Correct.
I don't know where we got the number, but I'm assuming that's the accurate number.
Yes, it is.
And just to remind me, that number comes from ERAP, so we're not paying it.
No, I know we're not paying it.
program
Yeah, it's
is
coming
paying it.
from the program,
Coming from-
which
from
is
ARPA?
something like we can do it,
Coming
yeah.
from ARPA to the ERAP to
Correct.
pay for it.
Correct.
Right, but the money that we're gonna pay for ERAP is just the ERAP, whatever you're gonna pay
Mm-hmm.
for the bills, right? So, but I just wanna make
All
sure
right.
that, you know, that it stops there. It's not-
And that's the estimated to spend the ERAP funds? That's correct. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? I want to make sure that, I know we have people online, if, as they say, speak now or forever hold your peace. If that is not accurate, this is the time to say so. Okay. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. We've got regular agenda item 2A1, which is, I'm sorry, 2A2, which is a specialty set item. And that's going to be at 5 o'clock. And so we don't have to go there because it's not 5 o'clock yet. So would you like to do the monthly financial report for right now? We had some corrections the last time and we didn't get a chance to hear our monthlies.
Yes, Your Honor. Unfortunately, last time we didn't include the P-card transactions. You should have that now with your processes. Sorry for the delay of receiving this report. We wanted to try to get it as close as accurate to our annual financial report, which we did. So we're going to go through some small scenarios to show you where we're at. If you go to page 4 and page 5, that shows you our balance sheets for all the funds, most likely your general fund, your debt service fund, your capital project funds. And if you see at the very bottom of our general fund, that the balance that we will be presenting you on the 27th with our audited financial statements is this amount of $25,940,572, which is an increase of last year of right around $900,000. We'll have that total amount for you when we present that information to you. If we go to page 10 and page 11, we see our self-insurance funds. These are where we always have our issues for our workers' comp, general liability, as well as our group health. And as y'all remember, we did do a transaction last year to come up with a deficit in our group health account. But as you see now, our unassigned fund balance for our group health is $161,925. The rest are right around $100,000 for a total of our investment, our internal service fund of $365,000. If we now go to page 16, this is where we start showing you the amount of our revenue that we collected. And for the fiscal year end of 9/30/2021, we collected 98.1% of our revenue. Now, as you see at the very top, our taxes are a little bit low, and a lot of that is related to COVID related, as well as some of our other issues of balances. But as you see, some of them are higher than they were that we budgeted for, and that is a great number to see. But as you see, we normally come in around 99 to 100 to 101%, so we're slightly down on that, and hopefully that will turn around once our court gets running completely as it should. Now we go to our budget sections, which starts on page 21, but normally I would tell you about negative balances. There are no negative balances because we took care of those in a transaction that y'all might have. So we go to page 61. Page 61 shows you our total general fund balances. On your balances, we have a total remaining of 8.4%. That means we have spent 91.6% of our budget through the fiscal year 2021. And that is down from the previous years. Normally we're at 92 to 93%, sometimes at 94%. So we see that our departments, as well as the department heads, have done a very good job of trying to control their expenditures and work the balances till we're at 91.6%. So that is a good number to see. On page 7 just shows you our transfers in, transfers out. This is where we either transfer money to or from. The biggest one is our general fund going out, but you see our total transfers for the fiscal year was $13,638,304. The last page on the report is our balances for our capital project funds, and this is where we should always tell you our COs that we currently have outstanding, and this is where we need to try to start spending every bit down. As you see, we still have about $66,000 in 2004. Luckily, we only have about $11,000 of 2007. And you see 2015 is 2.8, 2016 is 9.3. Now, That doesn't mean these funds are probably already been appropriated, they just haven't been spent, so we need to start working on trying to get these balances spent. As you see, for the total capital projects, we have $102,407,874 remain to be spent. The remaining balances that we show is our P cards for the year. For the period of September, we spent $314,213. That's on page 83 of the document I just have you. Commissioner Miles, you may have not received this. You should have received this on an email we sent to you. On page 167, you see the total amount of P card transactions for the year is $4,139,284.53. Now, the good thing and portion about this, we do get a rebate from our P card system. I believe last year it was around $35,000 to $40,000. And I believe Michael will be working on coming to you at a later point in time to try to redo that contract. I believe it's coming up to an expiration, but they'll be brought to you. And hopefully that we can increase those rates. That is our financial statements for these balances as of September 30th, 2021. As I say, when I bring the balances to you next to Commissioner's Court for our audited financial statements, they will duplicate these numbers. So that's the information I have you for your monthly financial report for September.
Yeah, why, how come we've so far behind on this thing here? What, and is it normal? I don't know, I never really paid much attention to the date on top of it, but is this really?
We like to try to give you the information as accurate as possible. If we would have given you this a month or two back, and then we would have brought to you the audited financial statements, I guarantee you I would have had questions why there's big differences. And there would have been differences.
But so when we approved the financial report before, was it all cut up at that time? Because I know we approved some of this financial reports before.
You get one, we're required to provide you one every month.
So every month when we approve that one, it's behind though.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I didn't. So it's really not a true financial report then?
No, because if we give you a true financial report, you never get one because the numbers are never accurate till the very, very end. This is the only time it's 100% accurate. And 100% will match the annual financial report, and we're 6 months behind.
So this is accurate right now?
This is accurate. This will match my annual financial report that you receive tomorrow, next Wednesday. Audit statements. This will match it 100%.
And we're not behind after that?
Well, once we start the next month and go and start in October, November, December, January, they'll always be behind until we do the final reports at the end of the year. Because we always have transactions going back and forth. Our P cards, even though we have a P card transaction system, a lot of people don't reconcile their P cards, so their P cards are anywhere from a month to 2 months behind.
Sure. I can understand the P cards and all that stuff, but yeah, but I was just wondering on the financial report that we approve, and it's really, I guess it's not a true report, but it's close, I guess, but we still, like, when we approve that one, we're still behind several months, I guess.
Exactly. Matter of fact, as soon as, if I give you one we're working on the one for coming up for March coming up to you, and as soon as we give it to you, the numbers will be wrong. Because the numbers change constantly throughout the year until September. That's when they are set in stone.
Okay.
And that'd be true for any statement you receive.
Yeah. And for all departments too, right?
Yes.
Dale, just a quick question, on the P cards, remind me how that works as far as, do we get money back on the P card use?
Yes, our current agreement with Wells Fargo is that we get a certain percentage of a rebate form. I don't have the exact number. I believe last year we were in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. I know Michael's bringing a possibility of bringing the P card back to you for another approval, and with that, there's an additional possible adding where we call what they call a virtual P card. What that means is currently we still issue a lot of checks, and we're going to work with these vendors that's saying instead of a check, would you be willing to see this P card, which means you get as a credit card transaction, even though it's not officially a credit card, and that would officially increase our rebates.
And that was my next ask was, how do we increase the rebate potential so that we're maximizing our dollars? And so if
I do know Wells Fargo said that when we renegotiate the current contract, they will be increasing our rebates.
okay, so, and then going to these vendors to say, will you accept, right? I mean,
A
obviously.
virtual, basically like a credit card.
Which I would think, you know, if it's on auto draft, they'd love it, right, I guess, or
Well,
something.
only reason that some will not is because some are smaller, and if you do it through a P card, like a credit card, they pay their credit card fees. So they don't get the full amount of what we're paying them. And some vendors, that means a lot.
Sure, no, I agree. Okay, well then, Michael's gonna bring us something, and hopefully that's gonna include something regarding potential more use of the P card.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then how do the P cards get distributed?
You have to go through Michael in his office. You have to, send in an application to Michael and his staff. They go the balance with your department head and to verify that. It establishes, they establish credit limits. They determine what it is. Then they talk with the credit card company, issue the card. And then before the card's issued, the person that the card is going to gets training.
Gotcha.
And what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Okay, so how many people do you think in the county do we have that use P cards, would you guess? Or maybe you know?
We have a lot. I would say in the thousands.
And if we, how do we monitor whether or not it's appropriate use or not appropriate use?
My staff gets a transaction of every transaction every day. It goes into my office, goes into our system, goes down to purchasing. They monitor it to make sure there's anything. My staff goes through every transaction, say, is this a qualifying event? So the person that actually did the credit card is required to attach the receipt to the transaction, and then we have the copy of the receipt that we can verify everything was matched. And if something doesn't work out, then we work with Michael and we work with the department head as well as the person saying this was an invalid transaction, and this is the process we have to do to follow to resolve that issue. And there's only been a few.
There's what, okay, so at some point, not anytime soon, I'm not saying that, but I mean, I know we got a lot on our plate. It would be kind of nice to just do a kind of a review of who's got cards, how they got the cards, why they need the cards, just to make sure, we always need to look.
We can do that pretty soon. We can probably, won't be on the 27th, but maybe the first report in May, we'll work with Michael to provide you that, showing you who has the cards, what their credit limits are, and what their normal history is.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you.
But actually, if you look at the P card statements here,
Yep.
you actually see who did it.
Right, I saw the department head,
So if you go to page, let me get there real quick.
yeah, it's
I see
page
what you mean.
87 shows the total amounts for different funds.
You go to page 100.
Yep.
You'll see at the very beginning of is a few from my staff, and Connie from my staff has those for fiscal services, mail services, and our credit card, our copy machines. And you'll see everyone that does the transactions names here.
Okay. Gotcha, yeah, okay.
So we can tell you exactly who did what, how it was done, and we can definitely tell you who has cards. But this gives you an exact list of who did every transaction in there up to page 113. And that's just for the September, but we can run your report of every transaction through the entire year by employee, and it won't be an issue.
Okay. Gotcha.
The ones that got names on them, I guess that's the person that used the P card.
Correct.
And the ones that don't have names on them, it's a business that was charged to that business, right?
They should all have names. They all have names of the vendor
Well,
as well as
the
the
business.
employee.
Okay, yeah, okay, I see what, okay. We show the business, but not who actually ordered. You show the business, the amount, but not who actually requested it, right?
Well, it shows you who paid for it.
Oh, you go back to one, right?
So you go
Back to
page 100, you're at the very bottom, you see, for dispute resolution, hotel ACH, is a $918 transaction, and it was done by, our HR director, and her name's here that's showing that she put the credit card in, and it was her credit card we used. Just like on page 101, you can see that the Corporate Street Color Times, most likely advertising was from the sheriff for $5.18. So we can tell you who did what and who they bought it from. We just might not exactly tell you exactly what they purchased. without getting a receipt. And we have receipts on every transaction.
And the transaction count is how many times they use it or what?
Yes.
Okay.
So I know it's gonna sound like I'm picking on, but it is what it is. There's one on here, like, for example, from Maggie for $6,473 at the South Shoreline at the, I don't know what is that one for example?
I'll have to pull the receipt for that one and find out what that was for.
Okay.
Is that?
Okay.
Petco.
Why don't you go ahead and look at it, since you are being picked on.
Martinez.
And Dale, why don't you do the same? Send a text to somebody so we can get some information on it.
Yeah,
Police here.
Commissioner, what page was that on? So I can.
105.
105?
If you wanna, I know we're supposed to do that interview at 1:30, if we wanna wait until, I don't wanna keep those people waiting either.
On page 105, I see a amount for Domino's for 253, amount for pizza at 253, as well as the Shoreline at the corner for 253, so I don't see one that says 6,000, so. On page 105.
Well, let me show you what I see. You can tell me maybe on it.
Oh,
It
here's
says-
amount, I see amount 6,473, okay.
I looked, yeah.
All right, okay, I see now.
Hey, Dale, Dale,
Yes.
can we pay for food with
No.
P-card?
Only a few departments are allowed to, and they got the credit from Michael. Michael's the only one that can authorize food purchases, and there's only 3 or 4 employees that have that authorization.
There are food purchases on here, though.
I know, but those are, Michael has the list of who they are, but majority of the employees cannot.
Do you want to move on?
Yeah, until,
Are they?
until we, I hate to make these ladies sit here.
Just because we had to do the interviews.
Just come back to do it, yeah.
So we table it until we get more, and
She's here.
what's gonna be the motion?
Here's Maggie.
Pardon me? Oh, okay.
And Dale, so like another
It's
one?
from last September, September 28th, 2021.
And Dale, there's also, from Marco's Lunch Club, Romeo, I'm sorry if I'm getting, Ramirez, I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, why don't you just go through them and highlight any one that you don't know in this entire one, and we'll all do the same, and we can hold it until you get all your questions answered. How's that?
That'd be great, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've got some too here.
Okay.
So,
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
it wouldn't be
Okay,
on
we're
the
gonna
P
hold-
card unless the auditor had already looked at it. Is that correct? And already made inquiry?
Go through list, and we make inquiries, and we send the final inquiry goes through purchasing, and purchasing works with the department, so it's
Right.
purchasing makes the final.
So it's not like anybody's not vetting anything that's on here, is that correct?
And the department, the employee must verify that the transaction was accurate.
Right, so anything that's on here has been verified by your division that it's accurate. But in the interest of, let's see what that particular one is that he's ID'd, we'll get the information.
Yes.
All right, fair enough, then we will go on, but thanks for pointing it out. Out of, I don't know how many, thousands are on here?
A lot of them,
You what?
a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, because, and we do this,
Well, this is for a whole year, yeah, so.
no, this
Think
is,
more than a year,
this is
probably.
for,
September.
this is just for September, Brent.
Oh,
it said-
This is
no, I
how
thought
many?
It said year end, so I
that's what
must
I
have read it
thought
wrong.
too, when you said the whole, from September.
Right?
September.
It's just for September.
That's what I was asking. When I was asked, that's what I was asking a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we behind, I guess, but
That's okay. I
Starting
mean,
on page
I'm
one
happy to, like I
fourteen is
say-
by the whole year, but it don't tell you by the employee.
Right.
So we
But
spent
that-
four million, 139 for the entire year, but don't tell you employee, just tell you by vendor.
oh, okay. 114 then?
Starting on page one fourteen.
Well, this last page says for the 12 months ending, so I'm assuming the 4 million number was a total number for the year, is that wrong?
That's correct. That is
Okay,
correct.
So it was the whole year.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we can do the interviews and then we can highlight them.
And who in your office should we work with so that we can pull that, since it's been so
I'm
long
working with my
ago?
staff. We'll get the information for you. If
All
you give
right.
me a list, I can pull every receipt we have.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Okay. We are going to now move into Human Resources, which is C1, which is to discuss and consider selection of the applicant to fill the position of the Grants Administrator. And at this time, we will have to go into executive session to do so. So I will give notice that Commissioners Court may go into executive session, and we do so in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. And in accordance with the authority of the Government Code, Vernon's Texas Codes, Sections 551, 071, 72, 73, 74, 745, 76, 86, and 87. Commissioners Court will hold an executive session to consult with prospective gifts, personnel matters, including termination, county advisory bodies, security devices, economic development negotiations, and any other matters that may be discussed in executive session. Upon completion of executive session, the court may come back into open session and take such action as appropriate on items discussed in executive session. And we will do that now. The time is 2:04 PM. We would ask everybody to clear the courtroom, and for those applicants that we intend to interview, we'll come and call you one at a time. So if you all would be so kind as to move out. Okay, super. All right, the time is 4:39 PM for the clerk, and we are out of executive session. We do have some action to take. One of the items was just a consult only, and the next one has to do with our applicants for positions of grant, the position of grant administrator. And I just want to give heads up that after we take this vote, what we're going to do is I'm going to call for a recess, and then we'll come back on the record at 5 o'clock as if we were starting that, convening that game room agenda item, because it's noticed for 5, and so I feel like that's appropriate at this time. And so let me just preface this by saying that every once in a while, you're happy because you recognize that through the interview process, you have so many good people that you're surrounded by, and that happens to be the case today. And it never fails that when there's only one slot, you always feel like you've left something behind when you have such qualified people. And so I just want to congratulate, again, all the applicants. We had many applicants, and we had 2 people that we interviewed here today. And we're grateful because they both happen to be Nueces County employees. So it just shows you that the applicant pool came from within, and it came highly recommended, highly qualified, and just very good qualifications. So with that, the hard decision must be made, and therefore I will look to a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we select Ms. Ana Velazquez as the new grant administrator. But also in that, my recommendation would also be to elevate the deputy administrator to a higher position, to be done on the 27th.
Our pay.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, and I'm abstaining. Okay, and so what we'll do, Kara, the time is 4:42 PM. We are gonna, kind of recess here until 5 PM. 4:42? 4:42. And since it's just us, we're recessed, right? Connie, take us off. Thank you. Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. We were on a recess. We've been in court this afternoon, and we took a small recess, and now we're back on the record for the clerk at 5:13 PM. There's so many, thank you, so many new faces here. I'm Barbara Canales, Nueces County Judge. These are your commissioners. We have a full quorum. Everybody's in attendance. Commissioner Modis, you can see him on the screen. He's participating virtually this evening. And we're going to proceed. When we last left off, there was one item with the auditor's financial report, September 2021. The decision of the court, I think, is to pass or table, Commissioner?
I'm sorry,
You wanna
yes,
just
please,
pass?
motion to table.
Motion to
auditor's
table, and I'll
report.
take a second.
Second.
To the 27th. Motion to table and second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that does conclude the business as I have it on my agenda, except for item 2A2, discuss and consider adoption of game room regulations in accordance with Chapter 234 of the Texas Local Government Code. Oh, wait, before I get involved with that, most of you were not with us earlier. And so just so that you know, for safety, we always do a safety briefing at the beginning of every commissioner's court. If there were to be a need to evacuate the premises, please follow the lead of our law enforcement, use the stairs, and we muster outside in the parking lot on La Pond Street. We have an AED device on this floor. We have law enforcement who is CPR certified, and I'll just ask Ide to be our designated 911 caller if needed. Okay, so that's your safety briefing. So, Jenny, I think is probably a good opportunity for me to turn to you and say, you have prepared for the public and for the court regulations that were drafted from best practices. They've been posted on our website. We have received good comments. I know I've received some personally. What our plan is, if you wrote to us and are not here, we're going to print them, and we are going to put them in the record of today's proceedings, okay? So just rest assured, all of your remarks will be read and will be a part of today's record. So with that, Jenny, maybe just give a little background as to how we got here today, and then I promise I have a laundry list here, a full list of people who have signed up for comment, and I think that it's our duty to listen, so we're gonna call upon you shortly, and I'll talk about housekeeping for that. But let's just get a little bit of groundwork laid, and then we'll move right into public comment.
Thank you, Judge. Ladies and gentlemen, we have posted the current draft. I have received several emails, calls, and visits from both game room advocates and bingo room advocates. We have listened. We have put some comments to use. We are providing options to the commissioners so that they may make those policy decisions, and we will put them into an ordinance. Nothing we do by ordinance can change what is in the Constitution for the state of Texas. So we will address that. And with that, we welcome, are we ready for public comment?
I think we are. They are doing a few more sign-ins here. The only thing I want to remind you about public comment is if you've never done it before, it's always good to know how each political jurisdiction handles it. We have a electronic timer that you're going to see on the screen. We have courtroom policies that this court has adopted, and they basically allow for 3 minutes. Now, you know, if you've got one more syllable, I'm not going to cut you off, but please know, out of respect for everybody here, try to adhere to that clock. It will make things go better for all of us here today. And I will also just call in the order that you signed up. So 2 things to remember. You're going to have a digital clock, and also would like for you to announce who you are. The clerk does get the roster, but sometimes it helps her if she has the audio, in case your handwriting is more like mine. And I'm ready for it. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Maggie, just give me sheet 1 and then take sheet 2 outside. Go ahead and go outside. And Maggie, all of the things I have here, I need them back.
We don't respond.
Yes. And Commissioner Hernandez wants me to remind you that in public comment, we as commissioners don't typically respond. However, this is an agenda item, so we will be able to have discussion, okay? But the way for efficiencies, Commissioner, typically you're right, but if it's an agenda item, there is the allowable discussion. But for the efficiencies, let's go in order. And commissioners, if you feel like you need to respond, just let me know and we'll call upon you. And we'll try to do this as orderly as possible. The first person is Greg Smith.
Your Honor, I have some notes.
Absolutely. You may approach, and we can give them to the clerk. Are the notes for us, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll have her pass them out.
Thank you.
Okay. Maggie, if you would just step out of the way there so I can see him. Okay, you got a clear screen now. Go ahead.
Your Honor, my name is Greg Smith. Thank you very much. I was in attendance on the March 30th meeting, and I had observed and listened, made a few notes. I've presented my notes to y'all in this draft. A few things. One of the most important things in my mind is there's a proposed 1,500-foot setback from all residential neighborhoods. Your Honor, as I studied the map in Corpus, that's everything. And I would recommend that the commissioners consider using commercially zoned areas plus a 500-foot setback for churches and schools versus 1,500 foot from everything. That's in my recommendations to you. And probably the most important thing, I have a few things there for y'all to look at. Some solutions to financial management, which in a nutshell would be, as a permit is issued to an operator, the financial management side, instead of all this banking stuff, the operator would be required to submit to the game room manager for the city a copy of their IRS taxes for that year as a requirement to get a renewal for that permit. That puts teeth in it, holds the operator accountable, separates funds within the operation as defined by the IRS tax requirements. Simple stuff. Security. It's called for all these armed officers and security and this and that and building codes. Most, if not all, of the businesses have camera systems. require that and give the police department 24/7 access, the people feel more safe, which is the entire purpose, and criminals aren't happy about being on camera. Thank you very much for your time,
Thank you, sir.
and I look forward to your decisions, and best of luck.
Thank you, sir. Next, next we'll hear from, is it Clara Ramos? Clara Ramos? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Clara Ramos, and I'm coming from Victoria, Texas. I'm here because, first of all, I need to ask the Commissioners Court about what if someone from out of town is interested in coming into Corpus to try to open up a business as far as like a game room or a bingo parlor or something. Will there be adequate announcement as far as an application process on how the process is going to work so that we won't miss out on the opportunity? That, you know, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that may show interest in this, but I think that this should be discussed tonight so that we can go back home and know that, you know, there is a possibility that we will have a chance. Now, I keep hearing from a lot of people about the crime. The crime, as far as game rooms, 95% of the crime is not from a game room. That comes from early morning to afternoon to in the evening, okay? And you're right, in the backyard of some residents. You know, game rooms are really a safe place for a lot of the elderly. You may not believe it, but it is.
And I just,
Okay.
and everyone, I really want to hear everything. And I know this sounds funny, but we're old, right? So it's hard for us to hear. And so I'm going to ask that I'm glad you're supportive, and there's nothing wrong, and I'm not going to take the time away. You'll get your time back here, but there's nothing wrong with you saying, and I support Ms. Ramos's comments, but if you would, just the applause makes me miss what she's saying. If you don't mind, just
Thank you, Judge.
hang on, but you can come when it's your turn and say, I support her, okay? Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Another thing also is that, you know, we keep hearing about the bingo parlors. Well, the bingo parlors are no different than a game room. I'm sorry. Gambling is gambling. Now, I do know for a fact that there was a person from Victoria, Texas that came to lobby up here trying to shut the game rooms down. Well, he succeeded in Victoria, okay? Now, why did that happen? I'm not sure. But I'm going to tell you, there was a gentleman right before me that gave you a lot of suggestions and, you know, ideas on what to do. That's what happened in Victoria. That same man actually wrote the ordinance for the county commissioners, and they went for it, okay? Let's not let that happen here. You as commissioners, okay, should have an attorney to help you to do what needs to be done, to have the regulations done, and then go from there. But to have someone tell you or give you suggestions, yes, suggestions are great, they are. But don't let them influence you. And I'm just saying this because we had this problem. And because of that, that's why I'm here today, mainly, is to inform you that this can happen. One person can make a difference. And that person did make that difference in Victoria. And that's why we're having to reach out elsewhere, taking our revenues out of Victoria to try to bring them somewhere else. And that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't, but it did. So I'm just hoping that we do have the opportunity, that we have the information ahead of time so that you could give us the opportunity to apply for a permit, if the permits are going to be, you know, handed out. That's really much all I have to say, but I really do want to thank y'all for having this kind of meeting because, as you can see, you know, people want it. They want it here in Corpus, and I applaud them because, you know, There is no entertainment for people like us. This is it. So let's hope that everything goes in their favor.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. Okay, next we'll have Reynaldo Samaniego. And just to prepare, it looks like Rose Gonzalez will be following. Mr. Samaniego.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Dr. Ray Samaniego, and I'm here to speak on behalf of a group of owners and vendors. There are several topics that, and on the proposal, that they don't agree with. I'm here to point out several of them. First of all, the hours of operation. Every business owner should have the right to have or operate their own hours. Point number two, there's a section in there with landlord responsibility. Is that constitutional? Are other landlords going to be liable for their tenants? If I sell my house or rent my house, am I going to be liable for the tenants, what they do there? It just doesn't sound right. And it doesn't seem fair to punish game room owners on that topic. Number three, reducing the criminal element. Some great ideas have come up, especially hiring off-duty officers as security on every game room. Make it a requirement, okay? The other gentleman that spoke it was a great point. Whether the game rooms are operating 24 hours a day or 12 hours a day, whatever the hours are, make it a requirement that they have off-duty police officers working there. Topic number 4, section 4.1, financial requirements, subsection A, subsection B, subsection C, sounds completely unreasonable. What other businesses do you require this of? None that I can think of. Each game room has or employs their own CPA or accountant to handle all their financial affairs. And what the city or what the county wants to do on that subsection or subsection doesn't seem right at all, unfair. Topic number 5. The way this proposal is in its form needs to be revised or postponed because the way it is now, some of the sections, like I said before, seem unconstitutional. I would hate for there to be a lawsuit or multiple lawsuits on this proposal that would delay everything. What I think should happen is that we should sit down and discuss some of these topics so that it's more fair for everybody concerned, especially the game room owners, because the way it is now, it looks like the bingo people got everything they wanted in this ordinance, and the game room people got nothing.
Thank you
very
for your
much.
comments. Okay, now we'll hear from Rose Gonzalez. Oh, I'm sorry. I tell you, even with these things,
Yeah, Rose is my rap name. I'm
sorry, Ross. Forgive me, sir.
Anyway, my name is Ross Gonzalez. I'm a proud Army veteran. I'm here to speak on behalf of the game room owners and operators. First thing, I got a chance to read the draft while I was outside in the lobby, and the very first paragraph really struck me, and it really disturbed me. So we're going based on hearsay as far as crime, theft, personal property, blah, 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 blah. The fact of the matter is, I've never witnessed that at any game rooms. None. Secondly, there was more crime and more violence and more theft being committed in our schools' halls on a daily basis. That's every day. Fact. Okay? We cannot argue that. There are ways, and it has been proven by game rooms, that, there are,
Much better.
there are ways, and it's been proven, for game rooms to operate safe environment, to provide a safe environment, to provide safe entertainment. I've been to game rooms where you have camera systems throughout. You have a total 180 view, sometimes 360 view of the establishment. You have security 100% of the time, whether it's open for 12 hours, 24/7, whatever. You have security around the clock. So I think, reading the proposal, the draft, excuse me, I think it's fair that the game room owners and operators be afforded the same opportunities, the same rights that the bingo hall operators got. You're requiring them to donate to charity. Some of the profits they have to share and give to charity. So, okay, so I believe that the game room should be afforded that opportunity as well. I think that's fair. I think it's just. And whether you tax them, which I'm in favor of, I'd rather you tax them than tax me more anyway, but that's neither here nor there. My point being that I believe that a lot of this tax money can be helped. It's going to go back to our city. It's going to go back to our county. It can help with our first responders pay. It can help with our teacher pay, fire departments, sheriff's department, whoever. If that's not the case, if they decide to give to a charity, that's fine. I was heavily involved with the baseball scene here in Corpus for many years, right? I would love to see some of that money go to the parks or the sports facilities here in town. That I think it would be so beneficial that you could use a lot of that money put back into our community for others to benefit from. And that's all I think should happen. I believe that you guys should sit down and have a civil discussion. And I believe that there is a better common ground than what is on this proposal. I really do believe that. Just give them the time, give them an ear, give them both ears, actually, and listen to them. Just hear them out, and I say do it civilly and hash something out, something better than this, because this right here, like Dr. Samaniego said prior to me, one side got everything they wanted, the other side didn't. So all I ask is just to be fair. We're all constituents here, so I think we all deserve the same kind of respect and rights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next person we'll hear from is, hey, John, Miss Susie Saldana. Following Miss Saldana will be, is it Ronnie Baker? Okay, you'll be following Ronnie.
Susie Luna Saldana, 4710 Hackle. I pass these things out to you all, and I send them through email as far as our suggestions are for the regulations for game rooms. Let me tell you one thing that's been said here that is absolutely truth. Bingo got what they wanted because they want to get rid of the game rooms. And when you tell me that they give everything to charity, please take a look at some of their marketplaces, because a lot of it goes to administrative costs, not to the charities. So take a look at that, because that's the gospel truth. I don't want to hear about crime, because if you take a look at the crime, there is more crime going on in Corpus Christi than any of the game rooms, and you have a history of it. The game rooms have just come into existence lately. And let me tell you, I want to be able to play here in town. I traveled to Eagle Pass. I traveled to WinStar. I traveled to Louisiana. Why should I have to do that if I can gamble here and my money stay in this community? Why? Why? Because there's no regulations. No one has done anything to able to take it. I'm looking at 5 people up there. 5 people that we duly elected to represent us. And let me tell you, we senior citizens, one thing you've got to say about us is we vote. We really vote because we are senior citizens, because we like to keep up with things. So we are looking forward to you making the right decision for the right reasons. And we're planning to hold everybody accountable for their votes. And let me tell you why. Because I feel it's important that you give us the rights we deserve. You don't have a right to tell me how to spend my money. You don't have a right to limit the time that I go somewhere. Are you going to tell me next that I can only go to the movies between 10 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I'm a senior? My God, you got another thing coming if you think you're going to do that to me. That's not right. You can't do that to us and then try to tell us that you're doing it for our own good. Our own good is for you to give us the right to make that decision ourselves. We have a right to go to the game rooms. We have a right to vote. We have a right to decide what our faith is. You have a right to protect us as your constituents. Remember that we are your constituents. And trust me, we will be looking at how each and every of you vote. And that, my dear, is not meant as a threat, it's meant as a fact. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. And so next, we will hear from Ronnie Baker. And then just to be prepared, TJ Ledbetter, you'll be next. Mr. Baker.
Judge Canales, Commissioners, thank you.
Thank you.
For 3 years, and I represent charitable gaming, and I've heard a lot of assertions that I find interesting. The fact of the matter is, I think one of your speakers said, bingo is no different than game rooms. They are. We're regulated by the state of Texas with over 300 regulations. We give back hundreds of thousands of dollars and have since 1983. There's never been a major felony committed inside a bingo hall in Corpus Christi, okay? Another lady spoke and said, one man closed down all the game rooms in Victoria, Texas, and wrote the ordinance and got it passed. That is incorrect. It was written by an attorney out of Austin, Texas, working with a variety of nonprofits. Charitable bingo did not get what they want. They came here to ask for a fair playing field, which is we are regulated by the state of Texas. We have operating hours. Our dispersions, or the amount of money we give away, is mandated by the state. We can only play 3 sessions per week, not 7 days a week. And all we ask is for a fair playing field. You consider the rules and regulations that we submitted that have been enacted in several counties across the state of Texas. And all it does, it says if you're going to have a business, like all businesses, you are regulated, and that's fair because charitable bingo is not here. And every time I pick up the paper and I read what's going on, charitable bingo is trying to close down game rooms. That is not true. And that's a untruth that's been posted to get a lot of people upset. This lady that spoke, if she wants to go gamble, that's fine. But get regulated, get your permits, put your machines in, and have the people come play. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now we'll hear from TJ Ledbetter. And Miss Betty Sheets, you will follow when she is done.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Ronnie pretty much summed up exactly what I wanted to say. I'm a local CPA and I represent several charities that benefit from bingo. We're not against the game rooms. We just want a level playing field. We want them to be under certain rules. We have over 300 rules. They have 27, I believe, that y'all are mandating. We just ask for a level playing field. It'd be great if they had to donate some of the money. That would be fabulous. If you don't, there probably will not. If you don't pass the ordinance, there will probably not be charitable bingo, which affects y'all. And I vote too.
Thank you, ma'am. And so now we'll hear from Miss Betty Sheets, and following Betty, if you'll be prepared, Miss Margaret Baldwin. Miss Sheets.
Good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. I have been to the last 3 or 4 meetings, as you all know. First of all, from the comments today, I'm going to tell you, your vote, you've just told these ladies and gentlemen, don't depend on your thoughts. Well, let me tell you something. Those ladies and gentlemen sitting up there have done their job, and they're doing their jobs. And I support each and every one of you. You are caring about not only bingo, they care about you all. What's the matter here? There is a problem, yes, there is. And as far as charitable funds, I've got news for you folks. I'd like to see one of you tell me you've helped a mother and a child who needs medicine, not with your bingo money you haven't. No, sir. That money goes to you all. Ours has to 100% go to a charity. 100%. We don't pocket even a nickel. We cannot do that.
We want to be respectful of everybody.
And last but not least, we would like to work with you all somehow. I don't know what it's going to take. I honestly don't. But whatever it takes from this judge and these commissioners, I know they will do their jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now Miss Margaret Baldwin, followed by the best name ever, Mark Anthony. Both from,
Good evening, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Margaret Baldwin, and we keep talking about regulations and how many pages and how much it takes. These are the regulations that are being proposed that y'all are looking at. Bingo regulations are like this. We operate under more regulations than you can imagine, and they say when, where, and how much we have to distribute and how we have to do it. We're not asking for anything different than we are not already doing ourselves in the halls. We do have to donate to charities. They are the ones running the halls. Charities are the only ones that can have a bingo license to conduct bingo, are the charities. They are the ones running the hall, using their money to help members of the community. We have from VFWs, Little League, Halo flights helping to pay for flights that people can't afford, to lost pets. There's just so much that different charities do. We ask that you consider the regulations, look over them. Y'all already have my notes that I've sent you and how I feel. Y'all have known since we've been coming here. I just ask you to consider what is before you and make the right choice for what is before you. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Mark Anthony.
Good evening, County Judge Canales and Nueces County Commissioners.
Good evening.
My name is Mark Anthony Pelaez. I am an owner and operator of a game room in Corpus Christi. I'm going to have to speak quick because I have quite a lot to say in a short period of time. First, I'd like to give a little background of myself. I attended Veterans Memorial High School and graduated in 2019. I played high school varsity soccer all 4 years of my life at Veterans Memorial, and I also went on to play semi-pro here with Corpus Christi FC, and then went on to play college soccer at McMurray University in Abilene, Texas, where I was majoring in business and minoring in accounting. I decided to include this info because I feel that there's a bias in certain persona about game room owners and operators that simply aren't true. We are not bad people. I'm a 20-year-old young man coming on full steam into adulthood and simply looking to provide for my family and to help create a living for my employees. The game room that I operate and my employees are all considered family. We all care for each other. We all strive to bring a positive and fun atmosphere for anybody that visits us. We also have a licensed private security company that gives anyone who enters our building peace of mind and a safe atmosphere. During our time of operation, we have only had 2 calls to CCPD for crime that occurred outside of our building. I believe that crime is being pinned on game rooms unfairly. News channels here in Corpus take advantage of these sort of incidents and use them to create a bad name for game rooms, when in reality there's been a total of 5 to 10 crimes at game rooms within our 2 years of operation. We are one of many game rooms in Corpus Christi, but we are strictly a game room and we have no affiliation with any bad stereotypes that the Assistant DA has said publicly, such as prostitution, gangs, drugs, etc. I believe that the City of Corpus Christi and Nueces County is capable of adopting similar regulations to counties down south and north that have allowed game rooms to operate for years and generate tax dollars for the county and countless jobs for many people, many of which depend on these jobs to pay rent, bills, mortgages, and car payments and to provide for their families. As a game room owner, I love the entertainment that I'm able to provide. I see that I'm out of time, I'm sorry.
You know what? The clock did not reset properly. We've got you. Keep going.
All right, thank you. As a game
1
room
minute.
owner, I love the entertainment that I'm able to provide to people, and I know that many people in Corpus Christi love the entertainment we provide them with too. We as game room owners and the players that have come today understand that there's a need for regulations to be put in place. We ask that you look at us and make decisions carefully and look at other county regulations that have allowed game rooms to operate for years down south and also up north. Counties listed are examples: Webb County, Willacy County, Ector County, Winkler County. These counties include the cities of Odessa, Kermit, Lyford, Sebastian, and Bruni. All counties and cities that are generating extra tax dollars for law enforcement, streets, highways, and providing more opportunities of employment under certain provisions. The 28-page regulations that have been presented will put game rooms in Corpus Christi out of business. We believe that as a whole, we could work on this proposal and come up with something that could benefit everyone, such as the nonprofits, the county, the city, and also the people of Corpus Christi and all the game room operators. We also ask as a whole that you don't let bingo halls take away what many people want and push unconstitutional regulations for nothing but personal gain. We ask that you delay this proposal and allow all of us to come to an agreement that will satisfy all parties. Thank you to everyone that has attended today, and thank you, County Judge Canales and Commissioners, for your time and allowing our voices to be heard.
Thank you, sir. Okay. I want to see all of you back with that enthusiasm when we set a tax rate. I want to see everybody right here with this type of public enthusiasm when we're handling the county's business. There's a lot of great things to work on together, and those were good final words, that working together is the right attitude. I'm going to call upon Miss Kathleen White next. Following Miss White will be Phyllis Pruitt. I'll be watching the clock. Every once in a while, it just doesn't quite reset, but I think we're good now. Yeah, we're good now.
Hello, County Judge and County Commissioners. Thank y'all for this meeting tonight. I made some notes from the comments that I've been hearing tonight, and one of them is we need to work on this and spend some time. We've been on this for 3 years. We've been coming to the County Commissioners Court. We've been coming to the leadership for 3 years. We have been working on it. These are not this is not an ordinance that was written by the bingo hall owners. This is an ordinance that was written by other counties. We have looked at, the county attorney and the commissioners and the judge have looked at other county ordinances that have been implemented already in the state of Texas, and this is a product pulled from those ordinances. They say that the financial requirements are onerous. I say they've never seen the Bingo Enabling Act. It's 300 pages long. Every charity that plays one game of bingo reports every dollar that comes in the door, every expense that's paid out. They have limits on how much they can pay in expenses on every level, and then 100% of their net profits is required to not only go to the charity, but must be spent inside the state of Texas. And they have to report how they spend those proceeds after they get moved from the bingo account to the charity. There's a lot of misconception about this. Hours of operation. They're all complaining because I think the ordinance has from 9 to 9 or something like that, 12 hours a day. There's no bingo hall in the state of Texas that can be open for 12 hours a day. So our regulations are far more onerous, 300 pages compared to 30, limiting hours, limiting everything, and every penny has to go to charity in the state of Texas. We talk about how far they have to be away from churches and places like that. It's very difficult, far more difficult to get a license to operate a bingo hall than anything that's considered in this ordinance to be able to open up a game room. We're not trying to stop game rooms, we're trying to stop illegality in game rooms. Someone said, well, I want the right to gamble. Well, unfortunately, gambling is just not legal in the state of Texas. And so that's why people have to go out of state to gamble. The game rooms can operate, but they have to operate within the limits of the state of Texas laws, just like the bingo halls have to. And so everybody's talking about them being all these similarities. They're grossly different, and bingo is regulated, has been regulated since I've been in the business almost I don't know, 30 or 40 years. Thank you for your
Thank you.
consideration and time.
Thank you. So now we'll hear from Phyllis Pruitt. And following Phyllis, is it Viola Gonzalez? Is that correct? Okay, you'll be next.
Thank you, Judge and
Yes.
County Commissioners. And I do appreciate y'all doing this. And I support the ordinance that says 50 machines in a game room is enough. And I just wonder how many game rooms give to charities. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. We'll hear next from Ms. Gonzalez. Am I correct? Is it Viola or Viola? Let me look again. Viola Gonzalez? All right. Okay. Following Ms. Gonzalez, we'll have, is it Leticia, is it Pone? How do I pronounce it? Ponce, sorry. I see now the C, it kind of just all ran together. Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes, ma'am.
welcome.
Hi, I'm Viola.
Yes.
I just want to say, guys, that I am for the game room. I'm not against the game room.
She's going to lower the mic
People
for
talking
you.
about crimes, crimes happen every day, 24 hours a day, in schools, your neighborhoods, grocery stores, gas stations, okay? We have a right to spend our money where we want to go and spend our money. We don't want to have to drive all the way to Louisiana. We can stay here. Everybody makes money, parks, schools, police, everybody, okay? Please, please, I beg you, regulate the game rooms, let us operate, and in peace.
Thank you, ma'am. The next person is Ms. Leticia Ponce.
I came to voice for the seniors that go to the game room. They enjoy going to the game room because it's quiet in the mornings, it's safe, there's security in the game rooms, and at night it's too late for them to go to bingo. And they're in the fixed income where they can just go to the game room for a little while and go home. And they like it because they say there's bread and coffee, and they get to meet other seniors in there and enjoy their time. So it's for, we're voting for game rooms. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person will be Rene Vela. Mr. Vela, here he comes. Following Mr. Vela will be Jennifer Olivares, if you'll get ready. Ms. Olivares will be next. Mr. Vela, welcome.
Ms. Barbara Canales.
Yes.
Commissioners, I support the game rooms, and I just want to let everybody know that it's an enjoyment for the elderly. It's a place for them to have a good time and enjoy themselves. Like I always say, enjoy the moment. We don't take nothing, we're not going to take nothing with us. So just enjoy the evening and let them have a good time. I'm for it. I want you guys to regulate it. And I see a lot of people from out of town rent rooms, motels, hotels. So I'm sure that the city makes a sales tax on that. There's revenue coming in. You guys got to see that also. They stay Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They leave on Monday. So if you guys were to go to management on the hotel, motel, get the tax, get a reading, see how much money Corpus Christi is making out of this. So it's a win-win for everybody. I just want to finish out with there's no time like prime time.
Okay, we're going to hear from Ms. Jennifer Olivares, followed by Ms. Destiny Trevino.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Olivares. I work at a game room, and every day I see the elderly. They love to go every morning, sit there, have their coffee, play their games, socialize. They feel comfortable because there's security, they're taken care of. They say they'd rather go there than go to Louisiana. I love to gamble. I go to Kickapoo, I go to Louisiana. I'd rather leave my money here than somewhere else, so I am so for the game rooms.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Destiny Trevino? No, Destiny. Destiny.
Destiny.
Here she comes. The next person will be Ally, it looks like Pineda.
Hello, I'm Destiny Trevino.
Hi.
As someone that works in a game room, you see a lot of people come in every single day. You form these connections with people. I can say that our game room is one of the safest game rooms I've ever worked at. I've ever been inside, one of the cleanest. I'm not against bingo. All I want to say is, yeah, let's come to an agreement and regulate our game rooms.
Thank you, ma'am. The next person that we have is Ally Pineda. Are they? Do I just have-
Hi, I'm Ally Pineda. Sorry. I'm a little nervous. I myself work at prime time. I don't have anything against bingo or anything like that. Let us have our jobs. Let us be free on voting for gaming. Our money, our choice. We have the right to vote. We have the right to gamble. So please, let this go. Let this regulate. I myself am a gambler. I do go to bingo also, but I'm a slot person. Sorry, I enjoy slots. Let's regulate this. Again, I'm a little nervous again, and please vote for game rooms.
Okay, we're going to hear from Alexis Trevino. Alexis Trevino, you are next, followed by Miss Tasha, or maybe Tasha Davis. Miss Trevino.
Hello, my name is Alexis Trevino, and I vote for game rooms. I love primetime, and yeah, let's just. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. Again, Miss Tasha, is it Tasha or Tasha? Tasha? Tasha Davis. And following Tasha, okay, is going to be Miss Yvonne Samaniego. Miss Davis, welcome.
Hi, I'm Tasia.
Tasia, okay.
I have nothing against bingo. I have nothing against game rooms. I'm here for prime time. Prime time is one of the best jobs I've had. We should come to an agreement. I don't want to lose one of the best jobs I had because I made more connections here at prime time, commuting with all these beautiful people, finally getting a circle of people. I work for one of the best people in prime time. I work for Ally. Everybody at prime time is a family. We love bingo. We love game rooms. We should come to an agreement and finally vote with game rooms. There's nothing wrong with it. We work in the best place ever, and we are one of the safest places. We have security 24/7. Our security personnel is absolutely phenomenal. You call for security anywhere in prime time, they're there immediately. So there's no crime in every game room, not at all. So I say we should vote for game rooms, 100%.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Miss Yvonne Samaniego and Connie, I noticed the clock was not, okay, just checking. Sorry. All right, following Miss Samaniego, we're going to have, Eddie, I should know how to say this, but I'm going to, we'll work on, you're going to teach me here in just a minute, the proper last name.
Samaniego.
Miss Samaniego?
Hi, thank you for having me today. My name's Yvonne Samaniego, and my reason for being here is more personal. I have an 81-year-old father who is in the first stages of dementia, and my dad can no longer travel to Louisiana and to WinStar to go do what he loves.
Just a little closer. There you go, ma'am.
This is what he looks forward to every day. I get a phone call from him. He no longer drives. I have to pick him up, take him to go play. He sits next to an 82-year-old woman named Lorraine, and they sit there and they reminisce. They put on music, the oldies for them. They sit there, they reminisce, and they have a great old time. Now, I understand that there needs to be regulations, and I'm all for that. But they need to be fair to the game rooms as well. You know, they cannot be one-sided. They need to be fair. There's a lot of points on there that I think need to be looked at again. And all I'm asking is that we propose, you know, a revision, or at least time to look over them and, you know, make an amendment to the ordinance. But again, you know, I think there's a lot of senior citizens out there, and I know that people say, oh, well, we're taking their, you know, they're taking their money, they're mortgaging their house, this and that. That's not the case. You know, if they, the way I feel, the way I see it, they work their entire life to earn, you know, to enjoy their retirement. If they want to go spend $40, $50, $100, $300 at the game room, let them go do it. If they want to go do it at bingo, let them go do it. You know, but let them have the choice. Let them have the choice. Let us have the choice. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, and now I have Eddie, is it Heineman? Yes. And then following, and again, I'm just struggling with the script here, but it looks like Hayward, is it Rigaro? Regano. Thank you. Thank you. I'm ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. Thank you for the time you've given us. First thing I want to say is I'm not against game rooms, but the problem is gambling is illegal in Texas. And we have not been able to. When we tried to get different things like that, we cannot do that under the rules we're under. Now, they made exception at the state level for bingo, but it has to be 100% going to charities. We pay taxes to the state, to the county, and to the city. And this was something that was passed by state legislation. So at the county level, you can't have gambling. I tried, when I was chairman of the board of the state association, we tried to see what we could get at a federal level and state level to have that, where we could have a game room in one part of the hall and still have bingo. But in Texas, that is illegal, so that's why we've got to do something that stays within those regulations. No matter how much people want to go and have a local casino or gambling, until that's passed, the legislature has said no to that. So that's the issue with this here. Like I said, all of our profit goes. Also, I've talked with different people from the game rooms, and they've said they're not paying cash out. They have a workaround. I said, but if you're going to some stand where you can cash in a credit card or something and get cash for it, that's gambling in Texas and totally illegal. So these are the issues that are not just facing us. Yes, we would like to be able to have ways for this to happen in the state, but until the legislature does something, we can't do it at the county and the city level. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Again, we're going to get, everybody's going to have their chance to speak, so let's just hold our thoughts here until it's your turn as it's announced by myself. Please continue.
Judge Canales, Commissioners, my name is Hayward Regano. I'm an attorney from Longview, Texas. My client asked me to be here today to go over some of the things about your ordinance that I think need to be corrected. I don't know if y'all are aware, if you've even read the local government code, but Section 234.133 only lists 3 things that the county is allowed to regulate game rooms on. And this ordinance that you've prepared is basically a regurgitation of the one that Harris County created about 10 years ago. And although it has not been challenged, that's simply because nobody has come forward that wants to challenge it. I am currently challenging several of these ordinances in other counties. And one of the things that I wanted to cover with you is this distance requirement that you have in your ordinance. You have it down as 1,500 feet, but the occupations code only allows a city to regulate up to 300 feet. And so most of these game rooms, I understand, are in Corpus, within the Corpus city limit. So you've got a problem with the city, within the city, not being able to regulate according to the terms that you have in your ordinance. So My suggestion is that you correct it to 300 feet. One of the other things that we've run into is this transparent and uncovered windows that you have in the ordinance at section 3.5. Let's say, for instance, one of the game rooms is in a strip center. There's no way that they can put a window on the side that belongs to somebody else's business. So that's something else you need to take a look at and correct. And also make sure that you don't have it set up to where there has to be a window in the back, because I've seen several of these counties have instituted that, and is a perfect place for somebody after the business is closed to break in and rob the establishment. The next thing is the hours of operation. I believe you have it from 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. The bingo folks have come here and said, hey, we just want something that's fair. Well, I noticed, I'm not from Corpus Christi, but I did notice that, excuse me, one of the bingo halls is open till 2 a.m. And so if that's okay for the bingo halls, then it should be okay for the game rooms to stay open a little bit longer until 2 a.m. The last thing was on the exemptions that you had in here for the distance requirement. Excuse me. I don't know if this is intended to be the way that you currently have it, but first thing, you can't, in other words, put in a grandfather clause for the game rooms that has a date that is beyond the date that you actually passed this ordinance. So in other words, you can't go back to January 1st and say any game room that wasn't in existence for January 1st can't get a license, okay? You have to have it set up to where when the day you pass this ordinance is the day that the grandfathering, in other words, takes place. Because the way you have it written in here, you basically create a situation where, I'm out of time, you'd create a situation that would be problematic for people who are trying to apply.
Thank you, and you're welcome to submit any written comments.
Sure, thank you.
So I think what I can read is there an Aramillo, Miss Aramillo? Could it be Alana?
It's Alora.
Alora.
I'm
okay.
Alora Alomio, and I'm requesting that the city allows for game rooms to remain open and to consider the proposed regulation. The game rooms have provided safer way to entertain the citizens instead of being at bars and clubs. And I know a lot of us are focusing on the senior citizens, but late at night when we only allow serving 2 beers at prime time, there is a lot of young guests as well. So I see that as a benefit because they're not out on the streets getting drunk at the clubs and the bars. With the proper regulations and protocols, game rooms can bring in tourists and revenue to our area. Please consider the proposal so we may have some entertaining growth to Corpus Christi. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, Mr. Robert Flores, followed by Omar Mendoza. Mr. Flores. Mr. Robert Flores. He's coming. Here he comes. Welcome. Right
Hi.
there. And if you would just grab the microphone, it helps us here online as well.
Sure. Hello, my name is
Hello.
Robert Flores. I'm an attorney. I am general counsel and the compliance administrator for the Texas Game Room Owners Association. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are the premier due diligence compliance regulatory and business impact development organization in the state of Texas in the game room industry. We have a strong track record of representing game rooms, operators, and protecting them through sustainable business models. And we also assist cities and counties with state-of-the-art compliant ordinances that work for both sides. I only put myself on the list. I've spoken with your county attorney and told her what our services are. They are at no charge to the county, and I just wanted to introduce myself
Thank you.
formally to everyone. I've met a couple of y'all, but we are the ones that bridge the gap.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Flores.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Omar or Omar Mendoza. Following Mr. Mendoza will be Maria Ventura.
Good afternoon, Judge
Good afternoon.
and County Commissioners. I'm here to address the ordinance that the city wants to propose or impose on every game room here in Corpus Christi. First, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to everyone in the community or the people that are going to be listening. Everyone is entitled to an opinion as for the game rooms are concerned. I've been in the industry of the game room operations for 23 years, not only as an employee but an operator. I ran one of the most successful game rooms here in Corpus Christi on Old Brownsville Road for a period of 1.5 years. When Jim Kaling was sheriff, he tried to set an ordinance, but nothing ever came of it. But the year of 1999, we got to Austin. We got to the Supreme Court by our attorney, Pepe Falcon, from San Diego. His wife, Melissa Falcon, was also one of the leading operators for game rooms in the state of Texas. Not only have the game rooms, and I lost my place, many opinions are being expressed, and truly I will tell you, as an operator of the game room in Corpus Christi, not only are we looking at the negative things to a game room, but now I want to speak on the things that game rooms in general bring to the community. More revenue, not just for the game room, gas stations, restaurants, etc. We've worked in San Diego, Falfurrias, Hebronville, Alice, Texas, and the main spot is Agua Dulce, bringing a bridge of Nueces County and Jimos County. They not only got a dump truck, they also received a bunch of money from the city that we had to pay. At that time, we were taxed $1,000 per machine. They got to build a park. Many of our students got scholarships that they deserved. We were giving the graduates not only the scholarships for what they deserved, but out of 650 letters that we received, the less fortunate ended up profiting from it, and which is a good thing. We want to be regulated. We want the city to see that we're not, bad people operating. If you're going to tax us, we already pay tax to the tax assessor's office for the stickers. Every gumball machine in the city pays taxes, and that's a gumball machine. So let us do what we want to do, and let us help the charities that need help, because we've never been given this opportunity. Like I said, in 1999, we got so close. It just so happened that he passed away. If you give me just one more second. You're proposing, sorry. You're proposing the ordinance. I say, and I know a lot of people are going to boo me on this, but I think that if we're going to operate, no alcohol beverages should be sold. That keeps the customers there playing longer, when I think that by serving drinks, you're just keeping them there to spend money. Let them come in, play what they want to play, and then go home.
Thank you, sir.
So with that, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
hearing
sir.
my comments, and hopefully we get it done.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll recognize Miss Maria Ventura. Following Miss Ventura will be Brian Gomez.
Hello, Judge and Commissioners. How are y'all this evening?
Very well, thank
The
you.
reason I'm here is that I've lived here all my life in Nueces County, Corpus Christi. Good city. Game rooms are fun, they're safe, and they keep us away from our children for a little while. So it's a form of entertainment for us. Doesn't matter what age you are because all of us have kids. So it gets us away from that, whether you're a grandparent, whether you're a parent, keeps you away from that. A lot of the game rooms are safe. Crime is everywhere, just like a recap from what everybody else has said. Crime is everywhere. You can walk into day before yesterday, broke into a Dollar General, and it was a robbery with a handgun. Crime's everywhere. Doesn't matter where you live. I just think that game rooms, you know I read some comments that people want to spend their children's college fund and they want to spend their mortgage. That's their choice. If that's what they want to do for a form of entertainment, let them do it. Let them have fun. We're only on this earth for a very short time, believe me. I've learned that. Learned it the hard way. And another thing, you don't take anything with you when you die. Let us have fun. Like I said, doesn't matter what age you are, just let us have fun, peace and quiet. Meet a lot of people. And you do meet a lot of people, all ages, all races. Doesn't matter. The game rooms don't discriminate. Anybody can go in. But I just wanted to share that with y'all, and I hope a lot of people and the commissioners up here as well, maybe you should let your hair down and go visit a game room. Because you might enjoy it. I'm just saying, it's just a thought, just let your hair down. Wear a mask, nobody will know it's you. But masks are the next best thing right now, so just wear it. Go in there incognito, no one's gonna know it's you. But you'll see it firsthand. You're not gonna just hear, they said this or they said that. You're gonna see it firsthand. And they are safe. But that's all I wanted to say, and thank you for listening to me, and I hope that this gets passed and resolved because we're all adults. We're not children. We shouldn't even be here because this is an adult situation. So, like I said, wear a mask and go in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Brian Gomez.
How you doing? I'm here in support of the game room operators and owners. I've been in Corpus Christi 40 years now, and I gotta say, one thing that's inevitable in this city, right, is change. And Corpus Christi's never been real good to take into that. The one thing that really bothers me that I'm gonna address with all due respect, Your Honor and Commissioners, is real situations expose fake people, right? And as I was always growing up my whole life, the persona of a bingo hall, I've always thought of these little nice old ladies. But I think that the media and everyone here in this room today can see who's been disrespectful the whole time we've been up here speaking, saying things under their breath. I personally have donated over $5,000 as a civilian to the Hope House, to the Ark for Kids, to the Purple Door. I work very closely with Sister Milagros that runs the Ark for Kids. I have donated toys for the past 8 years. And for you guys to come over here and make allegations to the people of Corpus Christi that we haven't done anything, you can go drop my name, Brian Gomez, to all three of those charitable donations. They know me very well. I have personally donated a lot of money.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I have seen nothing but respect from this left side of the room while people have been speaking. So going back to the 50 machines, I know they had proposed that there can't be more than 50 machines. My take on that is, do we regulate the bingo halls of how many bingo cards that the people can buy when they go in there? Okay? So if somebody wants to go in there and buy 100 cards, by all means, they're going to take all their money, right? Okay. So the other thing is charity. By all means, let's help the city. We have right now, I think, we see on the news that there's over 80 game rooms or something like that. That's over 400 jobs or not more in the city of Corpus Christi for people. There's also over 80 buildings that are being leased by landlords. Times are tough. COVID has hit people hard. This is good for the city, it's good for the community, but let's make it good for everybody. Make it a regulation for us to help out charities. I am all for that. I've been doing that. We all need to do that. Tax us, something within reason to where we can help fix the streets. I heard Hooper say the other day that in order to put a task force together, he was going to need $446,000 to go bust a game room. That is ridiculous. Let's use $446,000 to help the city of Corpus Christi. I have nothing against the bingo hall owners. The only problem that I do have is I keep hearing that they're not the same and there's a difference. I'm sorry. There is a similarity. They pay out cash prizes. Bottom line. What is the difference of someone going in there? And the problem that I have is when you go into a game room, you have multiple people that are winning all the time. When you go into a bingo hall owner, you got one or two winners out of all those people that buy those tickets. Okay? Money is being paid back more to the community and to the people of this city than there is in a bingo hall.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. We've got about 6 more people that are signed up. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update if you're wondering how many more before we actually get engaged here. The next person I have is Eddie, and it's just DJ. And then following Eddie will be Phil Nichols. So if you will prepare. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Judge Canales. Good evening, Commissioner. I am actually an owner and operator of a game room here in town. And I was doubting, should I speak, should I not speak? But I thought, what the hell, let's speak. Excuse me by my word. There are so many things, honestly, the people before me have said, which I agree with. But there is something definitely I disagree with, is the 27 pages I have seen and I have read and read and read over and over and over. I did give it to 3 different attorneys that couldn't figure out with it. I do agree with the bingo people. They have 300 pages, but they could work with the 300 pages. They are regulated for them to operate. The 27 pages we have, ma'am, we cannot operate with that. It doesn't work that way. You could go to prime time. You could have from lunch, from noon until midnight, we serve food the entire time. You could come, eat, and leave. Nobody will question you. No question asked. You could come and eat at any given time of the day. You could have sodas. You could have chips. You could have whatever you want. All of that, nobody talked about it. Now, when it comes to charity, I hate to speak out and brag about what we do, what I do. I've been doing that before even owning the game room. I owned the restaurant in the past as well. But if you go to Leukemia Society of Corpus Christi, I do write a check on a monthly basis. Mr. Commissioner Brandt, I actually do live on the bluff. And since COVID hit, they were about to close the swimming pool on Flower Bluff. I do support that too. And I do support the kids, they go there too. And there's so many other things I do in town support. So for the bingo people, they say, you guys don't do charity. I wouldn't say that's a lie, but that's misleading. You cannot judge everyone at the same word. So I could come here and I have the paperwork right here and I could give it to the judge and she could show you. I do write the checks on a monthly basis to those people. I do agree, we do need to be regulated. Absolutely, there's no doubt on it. But if you look at your 300 pages, which I did give them to an attorney to look at them, his answer to me said, 99% of the time, the bingo people, they have created the 501c. They have their own charities. They do the payroll, then the rest give it to the charity. Well, how much of that payroll goes to charity? So we're not here to point finger to each other. We're here to work with each other. However, I do want it to be regulated because I do believe, as I voiced myself to you so many times, Judge, a city and the county need to make profit out of that. It is absolutely right. And honestly, with whoever decides to give charities, they should. I encourage that. But I do believe game rooms need to pay to the city and the county. A county need to benefit of the game rooms as the city, as the taxpayers, okay? And on top of it, there are so many people that come from out of town, from San Antonio, from Houston, from the Valley. They use a restaurant, they use a bars, they use hotels, they do shopping. What they bring to town is valuable. So please consider that, ma'am.
Thank you.
So we'll hear from Phil Nichols, please.
Mr. Nichols. Mr. Phil Nichols. Followed by Ray M. de Pancho Villa. I know that's Mr. Madrigal de Pancho Villa. I saw him earlier. We'll give Mr. Nichols a moment, and if not, Ray, maybe you could go ahead and prepare. Is Mr. Nichols been found? Okay, not present. Welcome. Welcome, sir.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Mi nombre es Rey Madrigal de Pancho Villa. And I saw you all in the news. I said, I got to go over there and let people know how I feel. Because I've ran for a bunch of positions and never won, but that doesn't bother me, you know. No, never have. One of the things that I'd like to say is, I came here because I saw las horas que quieren abrir, de las 10 de la mañana a las 9 de la tarde. A las 9, it's still daylight, you know. Most of the people that go out don't go out during daylight hours, they go out at night. So I think that maybe the hour should be changed to a later hour. And, well, I've been saving my money, a little bit of what I have. The thing is this, I was planning on going to Vegas for my 80th birthday, but I think I'll stick around. I think I'm going to stick around because this looks very good. And I've been in business all my life, and now that I retired, I don't have anything to do. So I'm thinking of, hey, maybe I should go into this type of business. Because I've been to Las Vegas many times since 1967 when I joined LULAC with Raul Vasquez and all the other people, even Commissioner Joe Gonzalez, Robert Hernandez. But I definitely am in favor of having some type of regulation, but don't be so tough that nobody wants to go into the business. I think Corpus Christi is growing. Está creciendo Corpus Christi. It could be the next Vegas of the USA. So let's look forward to it and join in the bandwagon and get involved, because I think it's a positive thing, and people are coming to Corpus Christi. In our programs, we always say, hey, register to vote and go out and vote. And if it will be a decision by votes, you know, we encourage people to participate. We have always. So, de parte de Rey Madrigal de Pancho Villa, let's go for it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now we'll have Raul Cantu Jr. Raul Cantu Jr. Okay, Mary Helen Salazar, is that correct? All right. Following Ms. Salazar will be Ms. Delia Vela.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'd like to thank you for allowing us to come and say our piece, because it's important to us, our senior citizens. I am a senior citizen, so it's important what we do with our time. And I think that you all should consider, I know there's a lot of things that you have to consider with law and legal and all these things, but, you know, also think about what we want in our community. Do we want our community to grow, or do we want to stay the way we are? We're not moving. People are leaving Corpus Christi. We have nothing to do. Very few things to do in Corpus Christi. Please listen to everybody. Thank you very much for listening to all the people that came forward. This is something that's very critical to all the citizens of Corpus Christi. I thank you for your time, and I don't want to be repetitious because you all know what we're here for. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Miss Delia Vela. Miss Delia Vela. Miss Vela left. Ladies and gentlemen, I've gone through all of my sheets that represented public comment. Connie, I'm going to ask for you to look online and see if anybody online participating needs to raise their virtual hand there, the icon. And we want to give everybody the opportunity. And so I will make a final ask if there's anybody outside or anybody in the audience that did not have a chance to sign up. This is your time. Okay, thank you. Thank you for checking. One more, one last one. If you would identify your name, I'll write it down for you.
Okay, I wrote it down, but I guess I didn't get called.
Oh,
My
I'm
name is
sorry.
Yolanda Trevino.
Okay.
Good evening, Judge and
Good evening.
Commissioners. I wanted to say that I'm all for game rooms. It's an adult arcade. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. We don't, we're not doing anything wrong. And as far as bingos, everybody's got their different strokes for different folks. If they want to go to the bingo, they want to go to the game room, I think we have a choice. And we want to spend our money, I think we should spend our money where we have fun and entertain ourselves instead of having to go out of town or out of state to go do this. The money stays here because people come in from out of town, out of state, and they love to go to the game rooms. You know, why go so far when we can leave our money here and we can go home after that? That is all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, that concludes all of our our public, yes, sir? Oh, yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Liz Gutierrez. I am a West Coast ISD board member, and I'm here because of the game rooms, okay? And I actually heard one of the DAs say that the game rooms cause prostitution, drugs. That's not true. Your bars are the ones that do that. Because remember, the person that killed the police officer was drunk. And at the game rooms, you don't see that. And I should have a choice of either going to the game room, going to the bingo, or going to the bar. That's my choice. That's my money. And I don't have a problem you regulating it. But we go to Louisiana, we go to Eagle Pass, and all those places give money to the school districts. And we have these game rooms here that could easily help out the school districts, help out the economy here in this Corpus Christi area. I'm just saying, not everybody out there, not all the game rooms are bad. I frequent 3 or 4 of them. I've never had a problem. People are friendly. They're very clean. They are very clean. And I can say that I hope that you all really look at it very carefully because this will help our community and our schools. If you regulate some way, that money goes to the schools. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Would you go to the podium? And if you wouldn't mind, identify and also give me your address so I can write it down. I missed Ms. Gutierrez's address.
My name is Martha Savoy. My address is 1629 Boys d'Arc Place here in Corpus Christi, Texas. Giving honor and thanks to Judge Canales and the commissioners. I mean, Canales, I can't even read good. But anyway, I would like to say I'm 77 years old. I've been to the bingos. I've been to the casinos, to prime time. I enjoyed myself. So I hope whenever you all get together and decide what's the right thing is, God be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I was just going to ask you, yes, could you pass those back? I want to thank everybody for participating in what is the best part of the democratic process, which is, in my opinion, coming to your commissioner's court and having your voices heard. I hope you found that it's a good exercise. I also, I just thought that that everybody did conduct themselves very well, and that it was as it should be. So I'm sorry if anybody heard something different, but where my vantage point was, I appreciated all of you, and I learned and listened. And now it's time for the Commissioners Court to engage in this dialogue and this discussion. I will say that we're represented well here today by multiple attorneys. I know there's been multiple attorneys that have spoken, but you should know that the county attorney, who is a duly elected county attorney, is here with members of her staff. And she's there waving to you up front. And there was a reference to the fact that we have had dialogue for 3 years, and I need you to know that that's accurate. What I mean by that is that the last legislative, not this last one, but the one before that one, in the legislative session, for the first time, there was a statute that was passed. And it was because of that statute that counties during conferences embarked in the conversation of the legislature, and I'll just kind of, the county attorney's made it easy here for us, that under the government code, section 234.133, the question has come up a couple of times, can a county, and I just want to say, it happens to me all the time, we interchange the words city and county, but I just want to remind everybody, the city is a different political jurisdiction. This is the county, and we're only here to talk about county government and how it applies to us in the local government code. So just kind of a clarification there. But it's important to know that the operations that are defined for regulation come from the legislature. So we cannot do anything that the legislature does not give us the power to do. And one thing that I want to be super clear about, because our county attorney made it clear to us earlier today, is that we are not here to regulate anything that's illegal. In other words, if there's something illegal going on, a violation of what's called the Texas Penal Code, we don't regulate that. That makes sense. There's no regulation of illegal activity because there can't be. That makes perfect sense. So what we're here to do today is to have a discussion between the commissioners and perhaps some of you and our county attorney. We asked over the course of maybe the last, I'm going to call it 6 months, for her to engage with some of you that were members of businesses that operate game rooms, businesses that that benefit from bingo charitable. Some of you were members of the bingo community. Some of you were just concerned citizens, players at the game room. She did a lot of work by meeting with many of you over the course of time. And then at some point, a couple of weeks ago, Jenny, would you say 2 weeks? Maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago, she and her staff, after working on them, and after listening to many of you, posted online for today's evening's conversation and special commissioners court meeting. In other words, she drafted these, I'll get right to you, she drafted these regulations for our consideration, and by listening to you all and by conversation that we're about to have, we can have some opportunities to make some decisions that are legally allowed. And I just want to share with you that one of the things that I have heard mentioned a couple of times that I'll ask her in question form, but with regards to if we were to pass game room regulations, Ms. Dorsey, there is an allowable dollar and only an allowable dollar amount, a maximum that's set by Texas state law, and that number is, or that dollar amount is?
For the game room.
For the game room.
For a license per year is $1,000.
And that's the maximum that we can do.
That's the maximum.
Okay, and so I just wanted you all to know that it's important just to know what the rules of engagement are. Now, there is some discussion, and we've had these discussions, that each game itself might have the ability to have 25% of the allowable fee that the comptroller charges per game to also be collected, if we so chose, okay? Those are the only two opportunities by law that is available to us. Again, we look to the statute, another fancy word for law, that the legislature gives to us to tell us what we can and what we cannot do. And so the goal today here is to have a discussion. And I know some of you had your hands up, and it's kind of funny because we normally don't do this, but what I'll do is I'll have you approach the microphone, and I do want to give my commissioners a chance to start dialogue, but if you want to approach the microphone, announce who you are, and I'll take it as another comment. You can maybe pose a comment or a question.
Hi, my name is Rodney Eulenfeld, and I just recently opened a game room, applied for the permit indicating it was a game room, and roughly put $75,000 into this building to now have this meeting tell me I may not be able to open up. Why would y'all accept my money at the city knowing it was a game room to now tell me I may not be able to open my business?
Okay, so this is the county, so we don't have anything to do with the city. So I'm not sure about the permit or what you've done. But what I can do is refer you to the county attorney.
The city doesn't
And I
doesn't
don't-
currently have a game room permit process.
So that was my understanding. So you might have done it somewhere else, but with the city, Ms. Dorsey's informing us that there is no procedure, permit, or protocol at the city of Corpus Christi.
That's a building permit.
Oh, that's different. If you don't mind, let me, just because of the online, so what the gentleman is saying is that he paid a certificate of occupancy permit, and that's different. That's just to operate a business or, to have all your bill. I don't know what to tell you, except for that you might, we could we could give you a contact to talk to at the city. We're also here to facilitate for you, so I will make certain that we're collecting names, although you didn't sign up, so I got to get you to sign up so I know how to reach you, and we can give you a contact at the city. I just cannot speak for city policies or protocols, but what Ms. Dorsey has just told us, and I believe what she says to be true, that they have no current game room permitting processes at all. This is the first time that I'm aware of in Nueces County that we've had this type of opportunity to discuss any regulatory action. Yes, sir.
Would you be setting the regulations and the $1,000? Is that just $1,000 a year or $1,000 per machine?
Ms. Dorsey, is it $1,000 per year?
Per year.
Per year, per premise?
The permit would last 1 year unless the commissioners decide to make it a different length of time, but a year is the standard. And then, the stickers per machine.
So every address of a game room would be allowed under Texas law for the regulatory body, namely counties, to collect $1,000 and $1,000 only.
So there's 100 game rooms, that's $100,000. So what I'm asking is, the $1,000 that you're gonna collect for the year, is that just to open? And is that just the flat fee, or you're gonna charge per machine?
Well, let me just say that it's a proposed application fee, and we're gonna get into that discussion here in just a moment, but that was, again, we're here to have that discussion. What we did is what you did. Many of you said, I'm gonna go talk to a lawyer. Guess what we did? We said, we're gonna go talk to our
Well,
lawyer.
a bunch of us have attorneys on retainers, but the thing is that's for after the fact, did y'all decide?
Yes, of course. I'm just letting you know that what we did and what we do often is we
Because,
consult with
Your Honor,
with the lawyers.
I think that by doing what y'all do, regulating them is fine. Whenever they rate us, they're only gonna get that one lump sum of money, and then they're gonna destroy the machines. Why not let us just open up, charge us quarterly, monthly, whatever y'all wanna do, but give us the opportunity. I mean, we got so close, and this is a county meeting, so if we have to pay the city, so where do we fall in between the gap of county and city, and who's gonna do the regulatory
Right.
process?
So we're gonna get into a little bit more discussion here, if you don't mind. But your questions, I'll try to answer them as best I can, and I'll also refer to the county attorney, but I want to see if I can, sometimes I say if you say it differently, you'll hear it better. So the city doesn't have any mechanism right now in place for permitting, none. And what we have seen other counties do, and what we have asked our county attorney to look at, is the Texas law, and it only allows for an application fee, call it a permit fee, once a year, is what she said the standard is. And as I said earlier, it might be possible, she has advised the court, that there might be a small fee per machine that is allowed. But that's it. So in other words, there's not going to be an opportunity to make millions of dollars. I don't see this is just Barbara Canales, I don't see this as a money-making operation for the county. What I see it is an opportunity to set forth the regulations that you have asked for, many of you. In fact, one of the nice things about tonight is that almost everybody said, we wish to be regulated. And I found that very interesting because that's the first common ground that we start from. And so that's what I'm letting you know, is that I believe the county attorney's advising us that we would be able to do those dollars and those dollars only. And so forgive me, but I do want to make sure I give a chance for commissioners to just dive right in, and we'll try to be respectful of all of you. And I don't know if it's me, Deputy, but I'm hearing a really big echo. Is it the TV out there, or?
It's all right.
Maybe just a little lower, but okay. Commissioner Chesney? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were saying,
Oh,
I thought you were emotioning.
No, I wasn't, but I mean, I've got some.
I'm happy to entertain any of you, but just let me know, please, who would like to start? Commissioner Modis?
Yeah, no, I'd like to see us be able to take this in chunks, because there's several big parts to it. And I think the biggest issue of the night is, look, like the judge invited y'all to be a part of the budget process, and I truly agree with that. I mean, the more people in our community showing interest in putting us under a microscope is what you deserve from your public officials. But what I think the main issue of the night is that when we talk about budgets, it takes us, or even sometimes the media, to really decipher it before we can figure out what the heck did we just vote on. No, really, because that's convoluted. If it surprises you, I can't imagine why, because it's like that every time, especially for government. So I think what we owe the people today, right now, is to be able to discuss on the first item, do we want or support a gaming room ordinance or order, period? So people will know. Yes or no. Now, maybe it involves a bunch of tentacles to it that I haven't considered. But I think we could decide right now, either yes or no. That's the main issue of the night. People want to know yes or no. What's our commitment, right? And then we can kind of, if we decide to go to that point, then we can go to our next points as far as application fees and other things like that. But I think there's that big issue of the day, of the hour right now, which is, do we yes or no? And that may still take quite a bit of time, but I think we can owe it to everyone, and also the media can help us get the word out if that is what our intention is. Because I can guarantee you, once we vote on everything, you're going to wonder, okay, did it pass or not? And what are the fees? And what are all those other parts that were discussed and voted on in motions? Because there's going to be a lot of that going on. So I think for clarity for everyone is, let's determine what's the issue at hand. Are we moving forward on this or not? And then if we're not, well, then we're done. We're done. But at least it doesn't hold us here for another 3 or 4 hours or potentially more. I don't mind putting the time, but I think we need to have at least a discussion on the first item, which is yes or no. Do we support a gaming room order?
Well, I think, Commissioner, I move that we support it, only the regulated, right?
I think that's what he's saying, sir.
Yeah.
I also think we should support it and regulate it. That's why we've been sitting here for the past 3 hours. And as far as where the monies are concerned, this is where our county attorney comes in. She laid down some rules, some numbers, we just need to come to a consensus that that's what we want. Okay? Thank you.
So, and I'll just, Commissioner Chesney, was that a yes? You want to talk? Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
No, I am. I'm ready.
So, I think that, it's a good point, John. I certainly, support some sort of ordinance, or I wouldn't have, yeah, I think that's a valid point. What I'd like to do is try to dig into some of the parts that I still have questions on whenever the court's ready, and start dissecting a little bit, because there are parts that I'd like to look at tweaking and have some more discussion on, and get some more input on. But I mean, I certainly, like you said, the common theme in the room is everybody seems to be okay with a regulation. It's just, what's the tolerance for the regulation, right? So that's what we've got to get into the meat of.
And I wanted to ask Jenny, because for me, I guess as a lawyer myself, the words matter. So the way you've styled the document is probably the better way to articulate it, which is Nueces County Game Room Regulations. So is that the proper way to talk about the motion that we, I think so too. So I think the motion, Commissioner, who made the motion?
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Commissioner Gonzalez, would you consider amending your motion to use the title Nueces County Game Room Regulations?
So what is the motion exactly?
Well, I'll let him.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Proposed game room regulations for Nueces County, that's what.
That, I think the motion is,
we
as
all
I'm
support
hearing
the
you,
concept?
that you would support
Yeah, the motion is that.
create
we
Nueces
support-
County.
To support the, proposed for game room regulations for Nueces County.
Okay, so I think that's where we start, that we
Jenny?
support
Let me ask
proposed
Jenny
game room
first.
regulations.
That's what we up here, right?
So the motion
Second.
is to move forward with creating or adopting some game room,
Not necessarily.
not the draft.
Right, we're gonna get there.
Okay.
So the proposed game room regulations,
So that's
so
my
I
motion.
guess, these are baby steps, but at any rate, they're the first time.
So that's my motion. Jenny.
All right, and let me just do this real quick. There's a motion. Is there a second? Second?
You gotta use your mic.
And then I'm gonna call for discussion, and then go ahead, sir. Oh,
Another
I'm sorry,
thing,
forgive me.
I don't
Kara?
know how many game room operators are here now, but I think that they'd be for exactly what she said, $1,000 for a year and then a proposed tax for each machine. Understandably that we do pay, like I said, the stickers that come on the machine that are $86 to $100
Yes, sir.
each. So, in that being said, we want to help as well with and I know this is gonna throw it off, but the funding for a $500 million jail. Let us help you guys take that burden off of the citizens of Corpus Christi to a certain extent. Even if it's, putting a tax on us.
Yeah, so I'll have to, that's like a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, it's a lot of us here,
It
not
is,
just.
but if you'll allow me, would you yield to Ms. Gutierrez?
I sure will.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez, but you'll have to use the mic because it's just the way we record. I'm sorry, but we are very technological around here, savvy, and we have to get the people online to hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, Judge Canales and Commissioners, I'm wondering if you can get a committee. You have committees for, the disasters and everything. What if you get a committee together of not only game owners, but regular citizens, and come up with some type of following what you have, and, we can tweak it that way, but everybody has, a committee. I don't know how many people you all have on your committees, but I think that as I patronize these places, so I would like to see a committee get together to help you all tweak all of this and make it possible for these game rooms to stay open. And that's something that, like he says, it helps the community. They're willing to help the county. I say help the education, but if they want to help the county, then that's something different. But I would like to see, Judge, if you could maybe a committee would be a way of going.
I
Thank
think,
you.
Judge, I
Thank you.
think the first, thank you for all, that's great ideas, but I think we need to vote on to move forward.
Right, I just called for discussion, and then I honored the fact that they were
And then we can
trying to
discuss
get.
other things.
And-
Yeah, we gotta.
And I know,
figure it out.
I gotta, the problem is so many good discussions. I'll let you go quickly, but then I really need to kind of move us. Otherwise, we're
10-4.
not gonna get where you want us to
10-4.
get.
I'll keep it very short. So the only thing I wanted to say when I was up here lastly, right, is because if this isn't considered, then this is all for nothing and a big waste of time. The one thing that first of all, I want to say thank you very much for in support of the game rooms and coming up with some kind of regulation. But what we are asking is if we are not allowed to operate as the bingo hall owners are allowed to operate and paying out cash prizes, then it's a dying business.
Okay, I gotta jump in here.
Okay,
I've
hang
listened
on
to
one
this-
second.
Yeah, I gotta jump in here.
Okay,
We can't do anything about cash prizes. We have no authority. I think there's a huge misconception in the room because all
Yeah.
these people stood up here and said, we want to gamble, we want to gamble, we want to be able to do, we have nothing to do with
So I
that.
guess what
No,
everyone-
No, please let me finish.
Yes, sir.
We can do nothing about that. That is state law. And let me just tell you for the record, it may not make everybody happy in here, I support a state law that puts gambling on the ballot, okay? I think the voters should vote for that, but I can't do a thing about it. That's the legislature. All we can do today is a game room regulation and deal with what we can deal with. We have no authority over the cash prize. We have no authority over that.
So-
We can't do that today. So I think there might be some misunderstanding in the room of
So with
what
all
we
due
think
respect, Commissioner,
the power is.
so that we all don't go away here today thinking that we didn't get a fair shake, then maybe you can explain to us what is the difference of why the bingo hall owners are able to pay out cash prizes if that's a state law.
Because they have an exception
Yeah.
in the state law, and they are regulated by the bingo commission at the state level. So for whatever
Okay.
weird reason, and let me just tell you, I'm gonna say this on the line too, whatever weird reason, the legislature gave this to the counties to come up with a game room regulation instead of doing it at the state level, which is where the
So
bingo
they're supported
operators-
at a state level. is what you're saying.
Right,
Okay,
so the
10-4.
bingo operators have this 300 pages, you've heard them say, rules and regulations that the state of Texas has. They have a bingo commission, they have all these rules and regulations that they have to follow, and the state does that.
Yeah.
We don't get that authority, all we get is the authority
Well,
to
and
come up
and
with
that's
We're
the
not
point I was
that
trying.
important,
That's
is
the
the
point I was
bottom
trying
line.
to get across.
Super
Is
important
I think
designation.
everyone on the left side of the room and myself are getting completely excited, but there's honestly nothing to be excited about because we're
Well-
not going to be able to operate the way. I mean, nobody's going to come play at an adult Chuck E. Cheese. Nobody's going to come play for a radio and a pair of AirPods. I mean,
What
it's
we
just
can
not
do.
going to happen. So
Right.
this is honestly a big waste of time.
well, let me,
The people you should be talking to is your state legislators.
Right, and that's what I'm.
Absolutely. So like I said, it was a big waste of time.
well, wait a second.
No.
To be honest with you, do you mind if I offer just a different
yes, ma'am.
perspective?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you seem like an interesting person. I hope you'll hear me out. So, getting involved in the process and understanding the legality and the laws of things is never a waste of time. Because by constitutional amendment, when we vote, and we're about to have a constitutional election on May 7th, okay? And it's about your taxes, so you should care. Okay, that's another story. But and I bet we have the lowest record turnout ever. But again, another story. The most important thing I want to tell you is lottery. So a lot of people believe that's gambling per se. But the way it's legal is there was a constitutional amendment that was passed. The bingo also has an exception per that same, I believe, constitutional amendment. I don't have my notes on which one, but what I'm saying to you is that our Constitution and the laws and the way we voted our laws in govern what's in and what's out. And I want to go back to the number one premise, because you may be giving us too much credit and you may leave disappointed. But when we say we're for something, hear us right. What we're for is to be able to, quite frankly, create a framework for people to do business, hear me out, legally. If you can't do it legally, you're not gonna come see me, and I'm not gonna come see you. It's gonna be governed by our law enforcement. And so I leave that up to them to figure out what's in and what's out. We just don't do that. But what we can do, and what I was told that after quite a lot of discussion, that would be good, including by some of the owners that were just here, is they want regulation. They think that's good for their business. And that's why I thought it was an important opportunity to tell you about the difference between bingo. They have a whole state agency that governs them, basically.
Absolutely.
You know,
But like I said,
so-
it is a dime business if we're not able to pay cash. So
And I think that,
But we can't do anything about that.
I understand.
Okay, I
And
just.
Well,
that's-
and the good thing is most of these people that you spoke to today are people that before this business are very wealthy. So I guess, I guess putting our heads together, I'm going to get with Eddie and a couple of these other guys, and I guess the next thing they do is just build the baddest, biggest bingo hall anyone's ever seen, and we'll just take everybody out of business that way.
okay, so let me, I know you all have a lot of offers for comments, and if you'll allow me, it'll be the indulgence of this commission, how long we stay. I will respect and hear you out, but I got to ask other commissioners to weigh in.
I appreciate it.
Commissioner,
So-
were you in the middle of a train of thought?
I think so. So let me go back and start over. So one of the things
You
that I wanted
started
to.
when you said, "We're not in
Yeah,
charge."
Right, right.
That's where
So-
you left off.
And that's the important thing here is we can only do what we can do, and the state legislature has to do the rest of it. So what we're here dealing with today is the very few things that we can deal with. I know that Chief Cook's here somewhere, I think, and he
He's
was
in the
going to
back.
tell us about, look, so I was just going to start kind of digging into the ordinance itself, Judge, about, if that's okay with everybody, with the areas.
When we take the motion first,
Oh.
we said we're gonna
don't-
take
I-
a motion to start.
We did a motion in a second, and I called for discussion, and
Right.
I have to call for the vote.
Can we call for the vote so we can move forward, and then we can start everything else?
Kara, go ahead.
But I don't understand your.
I can't
You
hear.
didn't understand
One
her
second.
motion?
I've got it. I have a question.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so I need to know, see, 1 second, Ms. Saldana, just
Go
1
ahead,
second.
Kara, go ahead.
So you made the motion for these regulations or just
Forward,
to move
move
forward?
forward,
Okay,
to discuss in supporting the Nueces
Some
County
form
game
of it.
regulations in some form.
I
you
wanted
make-
to make sure that
Can
it's
you
not
make
what
that
was-
modification?
Absolutely, so
Right.
not what's posted
So
on the
that
agenda.
means
Let's
by
make
what
that
we
clear.
vote, will
Correct.
tell us yes or no, we have regulations.
Yes, yes
By
or
that
no?
motion.
Yes or no that we're willing to move forward with one, and then we're going to dig into the
So
one.
we're
Sir, it's
voting
not
to maybe
these.
move forward? Like I said,
Exactly.
that defeats the spirit of what I was
We're-
asking
We're
for.
going to move forward, period.
Yeah.
That
but
we
we're-
will
you
create
said-
We
regulations.
will
You-
create.
Yeah,
At what point, though?
tonight.
Okay.
I hope.
I'm just, look, like I said, I want to make sure that these people know either yes or no. Why take up any more of their time?
And we
We
also-
either say, yes, we're in favor, or no, we don't.
Right.
Period. That's what I want to make sure that this motion is, and if it's not, then we need to
I
amend
didn't say,
it.
I didn't
so
say
that we
yes
can-
or no, I said
I
we move
think,
forward.
I believe the motion was whether or not we supported a regulation of some sort that we now have, that we're going to vote on. In other words, do we support the concept, right? I don't support all of this yet.
No.
But I support the concept of voting on one tonight. I think that's all you
No, I
asked,
think
John.
we voting on the motion should, I'm just telling you what when I started this conversation, it was that we know at this moment, yes or no.
Yes or no that we're going to
Not
do
whether
one?
we want to move forward,
no
or
what?
maybe because of this or that.
Yes or no on
Yes or
what,
no
John?
at this point, do we support a gaming room regulation?
Yes.
Yes or no?
That's what we're trying to vote
Is
on.
that what the motion is?
Yeah.
It's not what the motion is.
No,
I'm
she
telling
asked
you.
for
Okay,
clarification.
asking-
okay,
what
can
I'm
I get,
asking.
I have a question. The question is,
don't even know why we need
because
that motion.
what is on the agenda, what's posted are the regulations, so you're asking them to vote, but what y'all need to understand is that they're gonna be voting on the regulations that y'all don't like. So that's what I'm trying to make sure, right?
And that's the
That's-
clarification I
yes,
needed.
That's what I'm asking for, Ms. Saldana. I
What's
got
been
you.
online?
Hey, I got you right now.
Okay.
So what's
but let me-
posted, so that's all.
He just needs to clarify his motion.
Correct, and
That's
what we
all
need.
he needs to
And
do.
Not these.
Well, no. See, this is what you can, I think all John wants to know is, do we support voting on
Gaming
a game room regulation?
Tonight.
And
Period.
then we'll
And
work
then we're
out
gonna-
all the details.
And then we're going to dig into.
So that's your
hours
motion.
after
Okay,
that.
I think,
forward.
I think
I'm
Commissioner
saying.
Gonzalez
good.
will be willing to amend.
I think I already did. I just-
Okay,
we're
he's
good.
amended, and let me
Thank
get a
you.
second.
Hernandez.
Okay, and then Ms. Saldana, you were looking for a clarification, was that the one?
And that's the one I was looking for.
Got it.
I just didn't want it to be this particular
I think
regulation,
he-
But it is. You clarified it. I
We're good.
appreciate that.
We're good, okay, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, what that means, thank you. Okay, so what that means is that we're going to have regulations. Now let's talk about some of the details. Commissioner Chesney.
Thank you. Chief Cook, I'm going to go back to you. The first one, and again, I'm not trying to, if anybody wants to, I'm not trying to, that's the first one that I have is the one on D where it talks about designating the Nueces County Fire Marshal. I think you have a different concept that you were going to throw out. I'd like to hear that one because I'm interested in.
What section, Commissioner?
I'm sorry, it's on page 3, little letter D, 1.2D, and there's some other related.
What?
There's some other related areas to it. That's just the first place that it's addressed.
I had a conversation with Sheriff Hooper today, and he in turn spoke earlier today with the county clerk, Kara Sands. And it was determined that Ms. Sands said she would dedicate a certain number of employees to help with the permitting process. So the permitting process would be handled, they would handle the taking in of the applications, and in turn, those applications would be processed. And then the sheriff additionally had a conversation with Juan Pimentel, the Director of Public Works, and he said that he would commit his 2 code enforcement officers to assist with the inspection of those game rooms as part of the application process, because there are inspections that are part of the process in order to be permitted. And so he said he would allow his 2 code enforcement officers to be utilized for that process. So based on what the county clerk has said, I think what the number was 4 clerks to help process applications. You didn't have, you didn't determine the number? I'm sorry, I committed you to that. Just that you had clerks, that you would commit to the process. I apologize.
I really want to make sure that the people that are here today don't have to go through this. It doesn't matter who's reporting to who or how many. They need to know how much do you pay per permit, how much do you pay per machine, period.
That's up to us.
I know that. But why are we going to keep him here, whether we want to designate something to Public Works, County Clerk, or anyone else? Let's be efficient and honor their time tonight. I don't think many people, if you all want to listen in, that's fine. Be a part of it. I've been through this circus before several times, and I'll tell you that what's going to happen is we're going to go just a back and forth bunch of times on who to give the reporting to. I'm not saying that that's not important, but I'm telling you that has nothing.
So
They want to know how much to pay for a permit. Am I right? Yes or no? You want to know how much to pay for a machine? Yes or no? Does it matter who you write the check to or who comes and visits you?
Well, John, how do you suggest we do this then? I'm trying to get an ordinance done.
Let us decide the dollar amount here and now. They already know that we have voted on supporting a gaming room regulation.
Okay, so let's dial it back a notch here.
But let me finish. This is the issue. They just want to know how much do they pay, period. Then we're going to spend several more hours deciding who to work it out to, because I think that everything that was presented is, I'm inherently wrong, and I guarantee you I'll keep us here a long time talking about that, because I don't agree with the setup at all. But what they do deserve to know is, one, we've answered their first question, Commissioner.
But I was talking.
We've answered their first question. This is a point of being efficient and honorable with their time. Let's just answer 2 more simple questions. I believe there are 2 more questions. Am I right? Is it the permit fee and it's $1 per machine, right? Those are the main ones?
Well, look, there's another one that we pay, like I said, the sticker tax.
Well, that's the machine.
So
you
I
wanna
think,
you want to skip ahead and not do this? What do you want to do?
I'm not saying skip ahead. I think these are the first steps before we get to who do we assign it to.
okay, so how about if I go back to the Texas law? The Texas law, Ms. Dorsey, is articulated in on what page regarding the
Of the ordinance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, hold on,
It's
let me refer back.
$1,000 per machine.
I know, I'm just going to refer
She's already
to it.
articulated
Up
that,
to
John.
$1,000.
Okay, hold on.
It's up to.
Go ahead, Ms. Dorsey. Everyone, please, let's listen to Ms. Dorsey
Well, the
here.
regulations should reflect the same thing. It's
Correct,
that
so which
it's-
number is it?
I don't know what page.
All right, give me a second to find it.
$1,000 a permit.
It's 234.133. I don't know how,
So,
Okay.
what,
If you go to page 7,
okay, page 7.
the fee shall not exceed the annual permit fee limit of $1,000 as established by the Commissioners Court.
Okay, so we can make that motion, John.
Did y'all hear that?
Okay, John, we can make that, would you like to make that motion? It's item
I'd like
number.
for that to be discussed, but.
Oh, sure, you
Make a
can,
motion.
we'll call for the
It's
discussion.
$1,000 fee. Motion for $1,000
Second.
fee. Okay, now we can discuss.
Okay,
That's-
so-
That's all I want. is let's work
Motion
out
in
the
a
numbers
second,
first,
so-
And then we'll worry about all the other stuff.
But we have to do this tonight.
Oh, I know, I
Kara?
get it. I'm not saying not to.
Okay.
Just
I'm
one
not saying not
second.
to.
Okay, that's fine. Then that's a motion in a second.
Okay, okay.
So it's a fee, but you don't get your permit from that. It's a non-refundable,
Right, so I was
yeah,
gonna read it.
application fee.
I was gonna
That's
read it the
it's
way,
written.
I was gonna read it the way, it's written.
Okay.
And if I could just, I know it's hard because everyone's talking, but if you wouldn't mind, just give me just your attention for a moment, I think you'll, so Jenny, the way I see it on page 7 is the motion then that's being made is that the language be the game room permit administrator, whoever that is, we don't know yet. I don't, as John says, think that matters to most of the audience at this moment, shall provide the fee schedule on any permit office website with the application form. This fee shall not exceed the annual permit fee limit of $1,000 as established by the Commissioners Court. The application fee shall be attached to the application form. And then it goes on to talk about some of the processes, like you can't have an incomplete application. But I think in general,
Call the question, Judge.
that,
Let's be efficient. I agree. Call the question.
okay.
No, no,
okay.
I'm
I was just trying to get it for the record here.
I think it's pretty clear.
All right.
And most have said that they understand that.
Yeah, but the only thing is 50 machines is not gonna cut it for some people.
Well, no, right now, we're just
don't-
doing,
None of them-
all we're talking about here is the $1,000 fee. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, what is
Okay.
the other one, John, that you wanted to do before I
That's,
get into
that's
other
that
stuff?
one that's.
I think if we can work out all the numbers
The
ones
hours?
first, like
About
the
the hours?
hours and then the cost
That's
per
where I was
machine.
going.
Those are the big ones, so.
That's where I was going.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't want,
Okay, let's do the hours.
Let's go.
I'm just saying, let's hit
Page
the big
20.
items so everybody knows where we're at, and then we can work on some of the more details.
Okay,
as we
let's
work
go to
through
the
night.
hours. That's,
So,
I'm okay with that.
That's all I'm asking for.
I don't agree with the hours being, I don't agree with the hours being 10 AM to 9 PM. If this is a legal game room, then the hours should be longer, in my opinion. If it's legal. So, that's, if it's legal. If it's not, if
Okay.
everybody's operating legally, then bars stay open till 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't understand why, if we're saying everything has to be legal, why we have to shut it to 10. So I think the hours should be past 9 PM because it's gotta be a legal business. And I don't see the problem.
I don't know,
So-
my recommendation would be 10 AM to 11 PM. That's
I-
my recommendation.
Well,
I'm just here. That's just my recommendation.
Okay, hold on. Judge, seriously, you have got to stop this. We can't do all this with 13 people talking. I know, but we listen to everybody clearly, and I can't even get I can't even talk now without 13 people responding. That's not how we run meetings. I mean, everybody can come talk when they want to and get to the mic, but I'd like to finish a train of thought too.
Are you done?
Get out of here.
Okay, I was listening to Commissioner Gonzalez and writing down some notes. Commissioner Hernandez, what is your perspective? And I'd ask the audience to please be respectful so that I can get the polling here
Well-
from the commissioners.
My feeling is, I mean, we're all adults here, and I think these people are responsible people, I believe, the ones that are operating legally. And I'm looking at, from whatever hours in the morning y'all decide, till about 11:30. Because by the time you clear out your premises, it's gonna take you some time to do that.
Okay, Commissioner Modis?
I did not hear anything clear today as far as the time, right? I heard maybe like 2 AM. I think it was Mr. Gomez or someone else said, hey, keep it as long as maybe the bingo halls. I would say let's try to mirror those hours, whatever they are. I don't know them specifically, but something like that, right?
So what does that mean? Tell me, what's your?
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a specific number because I didn't hear it. We see a bunch of hands. So 2 AM is the close. And this is democracy in action. I hope the media can get pictures of this because we're seeing fingers hold up.
So
What
Are you
about the
looking
people from
for
the bingo hall?
information?
How late do y'all stay?
We're allowed 4 hours per session.
We're allowed to operate
Oh.
4 hours per session. Most of them last 2 hours, and we can have 2 of them a day. We're allowed to be open 8 hours a day.
What time do you close?
But that means they can't be open, if they have one at midnight, they cannot
Okay,
have one earlier.
so I'm gonna
No,
make some
we can't do that.
suggestions.
State,
Uh,
that's not a, I
Has
mean, we didn't do that
everybody
either.
had their say? Commissioner Gonzalez? I'm trying to move us through here.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gonzalez? Oh, I'm sorry, you said that. Commissioner Chesney, what was yours?
I'm looking for a consensus too. I think 9
So
o'clock's too
I might
early.
offer that there's always difference between weekdays and weekends. And maybe we could create a consensus, commissioners, by offering better hours that are more reasonable on the weekdays, and while the weekends might have a longer
I agree
period
with
of
that.
time. That might bring us to a little more consensus. If you liked 11 to 11, that might be good, and then, maybe
Weekends.
Friday, Saturday, depends what you think a weekend is, I suppose.
To midnight Saturday. Friday and
Give me just
Saturday.
1 second.
Friday and Saturday to midnight or 1 o'clock or.
So again, I want to throw out that weekdays and weekends could bring us a little bit closer to a consensus. And look, I'm not here to pretend that we're going to make it perfect for everybody in this room. The idea here is you might want to consider that the spirit of tonight is to get us further than we were yesterday night, all right?
Judge, what about midnight on the
Okay.
weekdays and 2 a.m. on the weekends? I mean,
Friday and Saturday?
what's that?
Friday and Saturday? Friday and Saturday, right?
And so, and then the other thing is, when would you start? So a lot of them, so like if somebody had said 11 to 11,
That's fine too.
that's
I
the
mean,
12-hour period? Is that,
I mean,
is that what you were saying?
I think,
Yeah.
look, I think the
Because you don't
bingo-
want to be longer than 12 hours.
I think the bingo people's, I think
Except
they've
for-
got to go back to Texas because y'all are getting hosed on your hours. I mean, y'all are getting, your hours are horrible. You ought to be able to be open more. So, I mean, and I'll go support you when you go to the bingo people and get them open more because you should have more hours. But I don't know how to, I mean, I'm all for doing this ordinance and hammering it down, but if it's a legal operating business, no other legal operating business in the whole world except y'all, unfortunately, have to close like y'all have to close. Your hours are ridiculous. And I'll go to Austin with you and tell the legislature they're ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you say that, but then everybody says let's mirror the bingo hours for the late night, but don't tie them to the total hours. Mirror the bingo where we
No,
like it,
I'm
but
saying
don't
we need to
mirror
go
it where
get
we
your
don't like
hours. No, I'm saying we need to get your hours more, and I'll go to
it. Well,
Austin
you're
with
not
you.
gonna get it more.
Well,
We've
okay,
fought for
but,
that for 25 years.
well, that's,
The legislature,
Okay, we gotta use the mic.
legislature
You
is
gotta-
against gambling, period.
We gotta use the mic if we're gonna talk.
And that's where the problem comes in, is we can't get anything passed because of that.
Right.
I understand that.
Bingo got an
Oh,
exception.
we just gotta vote, guys.
And the lottery got an exception.
This is ridiculous.
We can only have 2 4-hour sessions a day.
11 to 11 and 11 to 2.
Temporary, you can do otherwise, but that's
11
what
to
the
11 and
law
1 to
says.
2.
Judge, seriously.
So let me ask if there,
I
11
knew,
and 11 and 1 to 2.
Commissioner, I'm not sure
I would.
what your motion was, but I think if we were to do weekdays, how about weekdays 11 to 11 as a motion? And then 11.
Or noon to midnight?
Noon to midnight for,
No, my thought was
What
noon.
was your motion?
My thought was, I'll make it as a motion. Mine was noon to midnight on weekdays and whatever till 2 to 2 on weekends or something like that. I mean, towards,
2 to 2?
yes. Yep, that's a
2
motion.
to 2.
okay,
Second.
so.
I'm really, please.
2 to 2.
So it's gonna, look, the way it works is that we've got to be able to hear and we've got to be able to discourse. It'll go faster and you won't get a lot of, curmudgeon type conversation.
Okay, the motion, what's the motion?
Thursday.
Yeah, I
Monday,
know.
Monday through Thursday,
Need to be quiet and let
I really appreciate that.
Sunday through Thursday would be, in my motion, would be noon to midnight.
All right.
Friday and Saturday would be 2 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Friday and Saturday.
2 a.m. to 2
Saturday.
p.m.?
It doesn't have to
2 p.m.
pass.
to 2 a.m.
Second.
Okay, so
2
that's,
p.m. to
that's,
2 a.m.
that keeps it to the 12-hour.
Second
Friday,
motion.
Saturday.
Did we say Sunday? Was
Friday,
Sunday
Saturday.
included?
Sunday through Thursday is
Sunday.
the
Oh,
first
Sunday,
one.
I'm sorry, I heard Monday.
Yeah, Sunday through Thursday.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. So Sunday through Thursday would be, till midnight. Noon to midnight is what you said, Commissioner?
Right. Yep.
And then the following is, 2 to 2?
2 to
Friday
2.
and Saturday.
Yep, that's.
What did you say? I heard him say 2 to 2.
Yes, ma'am, that was the motion.
That's the,
Look, nobody's gonna love all of this. I get it. It sucks for us to have to do it. I don't know how else to say it. I don't like doing this. The legislature should have done it. And I'm trying to find stuff that's reasonable for everybody.
Never gonna
I
please
hate the
everybody,
bingo
man, but he
hours. The
was
bingo hours need
never
to be
gonna please
better. And
everybody.
again, I don't understand why the legislature won't put gambling on the ballot, so. A lot of things I don't understand.
So what I have is the motion is Commissioner Chesney made the motion, Sunday through Thursday, 12 to 12, Friday and Saturday, 2 to 2 PM to 2 AM. And
2 p.m.
Jag, Commissioner Jag, you
Second.
seconded it. That's what I
All right.
have on record.
okay, now that we have the motion, the second, is there any other discussion here? Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
Like many of us said already, this is not gonna be perfect tonight, but it doesn't mean we can't change.
Right.
Especially as you all start operating and this goes through, we're gonna find a lot of hiccups. I can't imagine this being perfect
Oh, yeah.
as soon as we promote it. So that's gonna be your chance to come back and give us feedback and let us know what's working, what's not working. Perhaps, Judge, if we can get a committee created that can go and come back in 6 months or 3 months or something to give us more feedback. I mean, they can come in any time, but if there's a working group that's maybe working with staff, maybe with IDA or you or your office and the county attorney as well, that can help really fix it better for everyone. Because you're right, not everyone's gonna leave because everyone has a little bit different of idea how it should be run and how it should operate. But at least let's leave today with something. Give them something to chew on.
It's not a lifetime
and then-
commitment, guys.
Then we'll come, yeah, this is not
Start.
lifetime. This is
It's a
not
little start.
lifetime.
I think the other thing that we need to contemplate for the county attorney is the effective date of some of these. Remember, this document would have to be codified, right? So whatever decisions we make, we need another document. And also, we're not going to be able to open up an office tomorrow to accept applications, okay? So we need to get serious about how long it would take, 30 days, in order to get this properly on a website, properly processed, properly messaged, so that everybody has an equal opportunity to know what the rules of engagement are. And then, as Commissioner Mata said, there could be room for improvement. But if we keep going down this aisle of not making any decisions, then you'll be no better off than you were yesterday. We didn't have a regulation yesterday. Today, we've already voted that we will have regulations, and we're going through the process. And it's not going to be perfect, but it can be a beginning. Ms. Gutierrez, real quick.
Judge, and that number 3 that's on your document, I think that's wording is not correct on it.
Which document?
The
Oh.
document of the game room where it says that the game room staying open creates assaults and murders and all that. I think that's incorrect. Most of the people that I know that go to the game room, rarely do you see young people. It's rarely retired people, older people. You don't see like 18-year-olds and that. You see adults, like the older people. And I think that if bingo is every day of the week, Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday. And I think that we should be allowed, or I don't have a game room, but all the game room owners should be allowed to be open every day. If they're open from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning every day, I don't see a problem because it's mostly adults there.
Ma'am, do you understand the motion we just made?
Yes, I heard, but you're gonna do 11,
But they're every day.
I know, but that's only.
Judge, seriously, how much?
Okay, let's go.
Okay, I just hope that you all get a committee together, but the
Thank
bingos
you.
are wrong also.
Okay.
Call for
All
the
right,
motion.
okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
They pay $1,000, we know their hours and.
All right, how about the
machines-
geographic restrictions?
Sorry,
How about the machines?
the machine,
Which page? Go to the page. I don't
Page
want the motion.
23 on the machines.
23, what's the
23 on the
question there?
machines.
I'm make a motion to pass that.
I think you're going to have to read it into the record.
Make a motion to pass 3.13 maximum number of machines as written in the ordinance.
That's
Right, it's
200?
on the screen.
Okay.
Yep.
200.
200? 200 per location.
Yes.
You know, I think we would that, we might have to have one, depends on the location.
Well, but it's not set in stone either. We can always modify it, right?
But we have to have the right to I mean, you're not gonna put 200 machines in one place where you can't even move, you know what I'm saying?
And
I
that's
think
gonna, that's
200
gonna,
machines is okay, but I think we have the right to say,
Well, it's gotta fit.
respect the place. If there's not room for 200 machines, you shouldn't have to put 200.
But that's in here. That's
I
in here
think
too.
it's-
Okay.
They have to
And
put us, they have to give us a
as long
space
as we
plan.
got the safety net in there, that's fine.
Yeah, it's gotta have a space plan. That's
well,
in
it's
there.
gotta, there's gotta have a capacity. I mean,
It's in the it's in here too. It says they have to give us
Okay,
a space
second.
plan.
Somebody made a motion?
Yeah, we have a second.
Chestnut, did you make a
Yeah,
motion?
yep.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, and then again, cite this, the paragraph to read back.
Any I mean,
Page
commissioners
23.
have any discussion?
I've given opportunities. All those in favor signify, just, that one's going to stay as written.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, and the next
Per machine.
major precept,
Which one?
The cost per machine, the tax permit?
the cost
The
per
tax
machine.
permit per machine.
What page?
That is the section right above 3.12,
Yeah.
section B, subsection 3, number 3.
Section B, occupation code, section 215345 1. So,
Is that page 21?
and it says there $15 per machine, for 25%.
So do you want to just make a motion to accept 3.12, John? Or,
Is that the one we're on?
Yes,
3.12?
that's the one
Yes,
you-
okay. Yes, that would be my motion then.
What page is that?
And that's page
Second.
23 of the draft document. It's on the screen.
put that up. Thank you. That's up. Okay.
Second.
Okay.
All right, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
And is there any,
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
That's $15 per machine?
15. 15.
One,
Wait.
it's the amount that's allowed by law. It's not 50. It's the amount that's
Five,
allowed.
1-5.
Is that
1-5.
correct, Jenny? Do you want to clarify that?
That's-
Yes, if you're looking at the occupation code, what we have right now is that the tax rate for these, I have $60 a year, per year. And so if you're gonna do 25% of that, you're gonna be $15 per machine.
Okay, so
And what
that,
section are we
that's,
on? Because I'm looking at what's on the screen, and that's not what we're saying here.
no, Jenny's just
It
telling
says
you.
25% of the allowable amount. So
Oh,
if the
okay, I
allowable
got you.
amount changes,
Got
then
you.
it'll still be 25%. It may be a
Got
different
That's
amount.
a catch-all.
okay, so we have a motion and a second, and all, there's any other discussion on that? It seems very straightforward. It's what's allowed under the law and no more.
5%, yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, what about the restrictions that
What page?
are important
The distance?
with regards to distance? There was a concern raised about residential neighborhoods. The remedy on that was that the setbacks be applied, I believe he said, to the commercial zoning, is what he was suggesting.
What page, Judge? Sorry.
I saw it on page 17. In other words, I could ask law enforcement, but the reason you see 1,500 feet is because that's typically the distance that you see in other types of regulations.
For
I'm-
bars. Continuous.
What it's been for over 20 years.
Mhm.
You know, 1,500 feet from a church or a school.
That's always the way it is.
So can I ask a question of our county attorney on this, Judge?
Go ahead.
I've heard some residents have approached me on the issue of where a place of religious worship, and I understand that, and that's recognized from many other industries that are out there.
Church.
Is there anything in this place, what if somebody already has their property there, and then someone decides to open up in a strip mall right next door and moves right next to them, and then does the gaming room operator get bumped out because someone else decided to lease next door to them that isn't a house of worship? I think that could happen very easily.
You
think that
could
would be
provide
control, yeah.
for that, you could say, yeah,
Wouldn't they be grandfathered in?
yeah,
So it's grandfathered in. Okay.
grandfathered in.
I just want to make sure that that's made public. 'cause
And now the
that
grandfather
came up.
date in this is something you'll want to address then.
Okay.
So, is that a motion, John, or you?
I support that item on the distancing. Motion,
Motion to accept 3.2 as written?
sorry, yes.
Second.
3.2.
Made a second.
Yes.
Made the second.
Commissioner Nandy,
Well,
second.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, 3.2
Just
is
as written.
So 3.2 as written.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
How about security? Does this security, shouldn't be,
She needs to talk into a
Yeah,
mic.
we'll have to get you to, if you want to make a comment or a question,
We've got to have someone, we've got to have you on the mic.
we've got to
ma'am.
get you on a mic.
We can't hear up here.
Are we taking public comment?
I guess.
Listen, what would be helpful is, we'll let you do this, but if we really want to get through some of the major precepts.
Yes, ma'am, and I
Okay.
understand that, but you've been standing up the whole time talking, making comments as well.
Go
So,
ahead, go ahead. ma'am.
No, my thing is just, so if we're gonna go with the distant restrictions as a bar, then why can't we operate the hours of a bar?
Well, all I can tell you is that they did the weekdays and weekends, and again, that was the motion,
Motion
and it
already
passed. But if you, like, this is my own philosophy. If you will allow the opportunity to get things started, it's better than the alternative, which is that without any regulations, you're not protected as a good business at all. And so at least it allows for the process to start. It may not be where it ends, but at least it gives some framework of that 12-hour. I will tell you that when these parameters started, they were a lot less. I think that law enforcement would stand up here and be a lot more onerous on weekdays and weekends. All I can tell you is that I want to hear from you. You're welcome to email us or give us the comments. Let's see how it goes. We have, before you get a real regulation, it needs to be completely put together. This is just, as they say,
It was just a question.
day
It
one.
was just a
No,
question.
I hear
Thank
you.
John, you got another one?
I think let's do, once we do security, let's get security out of the way, Joe.
What page?
Page 27.
Yeah.
Peace officer or licensed security officer. It has to be really a licensed security officer.
Which,
Take page 27.
oh, 27, sorry.
All right.
We don't, you can't have officers, security without no weapons or anything, you know.
Yeah, what?
That was,
So, I mean.
you
make
gotta
a
have a police, licensed police officer or a licensed security officer.
Make a motion.
Huh?
You'd like to make the motion?
I move that all establishments have to provide, police officers or licensed security officers.
Are you okay with 3.2 as written?
Right, as written.
Okay.
Second.
So
All
we're on
right, we've
section
got a-
3.
Sorry, ma'am.
He's making a motion on 3.2. His motion is to accept 3.2 as written in the ordinance. That was Commissioner Gonzalez's, and I think somebody seconded.
To hire police officers and
Hernandez.
licensed security officers, either one. As long as they're licensed.
Okay.
Armed, sir, armed officers.
Just it's written. Right.
Now, before y'all do that, wouldn't it be better to talk about I'm sorry. Wouldn't it be better to talk about the liability on what we're gonna have to get? Because we have to get liability insurance anyway.
That's gonna come up later, sir.
We're gonna get there.
Okay.
Believe me.
Okay, so
Thank you.
motion and second, Judge.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any other,
It doesn't say, it just says a peace officer
Right.
certified. So do you want to amend that to say armed?
Well, if they're,
Yeah, I'd like to amend that to have armed police, yeah. Well, mostly licensed police officers are armed.
yeah, they are.
You know, I
And
mean,
the
that-
security guards that are licensed, I
yeah,
think.
they're
are
armed, they gotta,
too.
you know. But we can.
So
for-
leave as is then?
Or do you want to add armed?
I think we, but just add it on, I just wanna make sure we
Okay,
cover.
put the word armed on both of them.
And do,
We're gonna be on as well, so.
Okay, so, as written then, that provision stays as written with regards to security.
But we added the word armed, Judge.
I'm sorry, we're adding armed. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, what's another precept you want to discuss, commissioners?
Can I go back to mine now, or
Yep, well, no, hold on a minute.
can I go back now?
Well, you
Or
know,
no, I
I
mean,
think,
I'm not being-
I
trying
think
to be
with, I think
funny.
with that, something the gentleman brought up, real quick and simple, would be liability. You know, and we talked about liability earlier, where the owner of the operator of the building will have liability. And if not, then it'd be up to the lessee and operator to have liability. That's what we talked about earlier.
Where's that one, Jenny? Did you? put
It's
that?
not in there yet.
And with that liability comes in, sorry, the vendors would help us pay half. So that's why I'm saying liability would be the best way to go. That would ensure the safety of our customer.
Sure, you gotta
And
have
at the same time, if anything happens,
Sure.
you know, it needs to be.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna require liability.
Right, that's
Yes,
what we're
sir.
saying. Okay, so motion is, I think the motion is that if the
Direct the county
landlord,
attorney.
if their landlord does not require liability insurance in their lease, then the game room owner has to get that.
The lessee or the operator?
Well,
If you
the-
say they must provide proof of, then it's covered either way.
Okay.
However you want to make it. But most landlords are required anyway, but if there's not one, then we want a requirement that
Second.
says that that's
And
the
what
case.
limits?
Whatever the normal limits are in the Trek leases or the TAR leases. I think it's 1 million and 2 million, maybe, 1 million and 2 million aggregate is probably usually. And that's the motion, I guess, or I'll second it,
Second.
Joe's, however you want to do it.
No, I second yours.
Pardon?
I second it.
Is that clear, Kara?
No.
Okay, so what do you want me to do?
I'll get it.
Motion for, someone has to provide liability insurance.
It's
whatever.
not already
If
provided.
it's not already provided, okay.
Or you could just do what Jenny said, which is just prove liability.
By the
Please
time application, yeah.
produce,
As long as it's there.
And that would be proven liability with the security officers as well, or the company that we hire? Would they have the liability for the
Judge.
armed officer?
well, I'm not going to be able to give you that legal advice, but what we're going to do is clearly delineate it. She'll be able to write it in a clause as to what you would need to produce, along with most likely in that application process.
Thank you, Judge.
Judge,
Yes.
does that have to be the game room and I'm sorry.
Has to be one of them.
Does it, the game room and the guards company both have to have liability or just one?
Well, if they're I guess they're off duty. I think the way that it's written is, it would be bifurcated, right, Jenny?
Yes, if the guarding company or the officer, they're gonna have their own,
Right, we're not getting
The
into
officer-
that.
Right.
so if they're certified, that's their.
Whoever
their
they
deal.
work for would have that liability.
The officer is allowed to work off duty, he's got liability, he's covered. You know, the security officer working for security company, they should cover it. So,
But that's what the liability's for. The
I am
premises
for-
liability covers it.
and the premises should have one for the people there, right?
Whoever's,
I carried liability, I've always carried liability insurance. I've always used the sheriff's department, off-duty officers.
Right.
Last year, my insurance company required a copy of their certificate. They do not carry insurance, so I had to switch to a commercial company that had insurance.
And we hire border patrolmen,
okay,
you know,
okay,
that
we've
come
gotta
into
have
us and
some
they say,
order.
hey, can we work for you? We come up with a number, and then the border patrol comes in and they work in full uniform. So that's why I'm saying, if they have their liability, you know, and they're covered, I mean, they'll be covered under us as well.
Right.
Because they're gonna be in our establishment.
You'll have a
and if
building
anything
liability.
happens- Yeah,
Yes.
and then the cameras would really work.
Right. Got it.
Okay. What other, I don't know if we voted on that or not.
All those in favor, I think there was a motion and a second, Kara. All those in favor regarding the clause on liability signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any others before I go back to mine?
Commissioner Gonzalez, any others before we head to Commissioner Chesney's?
You're gonna have the fun part at the end. Can we add or modify something to this that I kind of mentioned earlier, and I do think it's a great idea, not because I said it, but because others came up with it. But if we can be specific on when we're gonna revisit this. Because I
Revisit
think,
what?
I think we need to revisit this, or like I said, if we can create a committee that can come back and report to us so that we can refine it, because this is gonna, there's gonna, I think, constantly be some changes to it. And, I know we're going to try to get everything we can tonight, but if we can say 6 months or so, maybe a year, I don't know. I don't know the exact time, but I just think if we can put that in here, or at least leave here understanding with all of us agreeing, or at least a consensus agreeing to revisit this at a future date, once all the
Well, we'll
main
have to-
parties have kind of had chance to
We're gonna have to
review it.
do an assessment probably.
Yeah.
In 6
Yeah.
months, probably.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it in place before we try to about
I got you. I'm just saying that I think that's important that we add that on at the very end.
I think we can do that as direction, that's fine. We can
I
come
mean,
back.
But
I don't know how long it's-
I'm concerned about the 30 days. You think we're gonna be ready in 30 days?
There's no way this is gonna, I mean,
That's
we're gonna
what
have
I'm
to,
saying.
we're gonna have to make an effective date at some point. That's
So they have
one
to
of the
be
issues I've
60
got too, is
days.
what's the effective date? Because the reality is,
I know.
how do we gotta put it, we have to have time to put all this in place. Not a long time, but we have to have some time that's realistic.
And once it's effective, there is a deadline for
Right.
the application being complete.
And we don't even have that set up. So, I mean, we can't like say, hey, Kara, guess what? You know, it's effective now and you got, and tomorrow
Well,
we
we
start.
actually had a plan in place, and there's been a bait and switch, but it's,
What's a
there's,
bait and
there's
switch,
some of
Judge?
it that's somewhat
The bait and
helpful.
switch. What does that mean?
It means that we had delineated here with the sheriff that the fire marshal would be the enforcement piece of it. And now we're talking about perhaps code enforcement.
So you didn't mean any negative connotations by saying bait and switch, right? I just want to make sure, because that's
I
not. a
just
term
meant that we have documents that say one thing and then we've said something else.
That you knew was
The
coming
county
because the
clerk
sheriff,
actually-
you announced it earlier to us.
Forgive me,
We
what
should
I
be sure
talked
that
to.
This isn't negative.
If
Bait
you
and
would
switch
allow
sounds
me,
like something was done wrong. I'm just asking.
let me explain.
Okay, go ahead.
The county clerk and I had a great conversation, and I'm excited about the opportunity for her office to be involved administratively.
She is.
That has nothing to do with the other piece of it, which in most counties works with fire marshals because of the opportunity that you have for inspections.
Okay,
That's
Judge,
how
but
that works.
Bait and
So
switch is a term that's associated with a form of fraud. So I want to make sure you use that term, and that if you didn't mean to offend me or the people here in implying that there's some sort of fraud going on, then I would really appreciate clearing that up, because that is not a term that is a positive term in anybody's vernacular. And I don't appreciate just throwing stuff like that out, because there's no bait and switch. You knew this was coming because you told me about it, and then I went and asked and said, okay, what are we doing? And that's why that was the thing that I started with, is to have Chief Cook stand up here and tell me what the deal was. So I don't know who's baited and switched, but all I'm trying to get, which was I was trying to get 45 minutes ago, was for Chief Cook to explain what his proposal is, and the chief law enforcement officer in the county, who is the sheriff, should be the one who recommends how to enforce things, in my opinion. So I got no tolerance for this bait and switch stuff, and if that's what you're accusing us of. So I would like to go back to Chief Cook and say what, and go back into what exactly we're talking about, because it is important so that people know how this is gonna work, if it's gonna work.
I
Because
thought
I'm
that,
thrilled that the sheriff's
But you know,
involved
the
in
code
this.
enforcement officers are peace officers, and they're certified.
okay,
So why wouldn't they do
at
it?
any rate, are you finished?
No, I'm trying to get back to Chief
Okay.
Cook, which
Well,
was the
we
issue
were
that
working on
I'd
the
like to do.
precepts and not the processes yet, but I was the one that suggested that we do speak about an effective date so that we could effectively get the portal open, a process and a business plan put forth from your office.
Like 60
And that was,
days.
Sheriff Hooper called me earlier today around lunch, and I thought that was a good idea, and I spoke to him about that. And that has to do with the administrative piece of it, that we call that the collecting of the dollars, as
agree.
well as the ministerial piece of it. As far as the other enforcement, there is a real opportunity to follow best practices, which we've already talked about today. And those best practices are outlined by a lot in this document with regards to how the inspections occur, how the applications get interviewed. And so with that, I had spoken with the sheriff, and the sheriff was the one that went to Fire Marshal Olivares and discussed that. And so when I said that, it's because this is the first I've heard of a different, complete, how the process would be done. Most of the clauses in here have to do with what happens when you come into the premises. And so that is part of the details that Commissioner Morris was speaking to earlier. We had a plan. The sheriff came up with a plan, and I'm hearing about a little different plan here tonight. Having said that, part of the plan is one that I think is a great idea.
But that was a plan
Half
that
of
was
it,
never
which is the
authorized.
administrative. But if the sheriff wants to take it under his office, but you should not have the enforcement code folks report to a civilian, and that's my concern. And so you wouldn't want to have the people that inspect not have a boss that was not a licensed T-Cole peace officer. So we need to work through those things. That's what I meant by it. And that's interesting on the Webster's dictionary, but we fish, and so when we change bait, we say we're baiting and switching. So that's all I meant by it. You took it in a completely different direction. Let's get back on track and talk about some of the premises and the precepts that we're working with. The next one was,
I'd like to,
go ahead, Commissioner Gonzalez.
I'm just, I don't know when Sheriff Hooper came up with all this stuff either. But, I wouldn't know about it either until I read it but I just want to know if, to me, if you're going to regulate anything, you're going to interview anybody, you're going to inspect, you got to have some kind of license, some kind of security or law enforcement certification if you're going to do that at the establishments, and they're not going to be working for CARE, I don't think. They're working, they'd probably be working under the law enforcement, under the sheriff, and report to the sheriff department against anything that they find, or call people, and really their job is to call somebody out there to come out there, and they'll be the sheriff department if they find something that is wrong. The police department or the sheriff department goes out there, and they decide what needs to be done. Right. But, and this is why I think that somebody that really has the power, the authority, that's already a certified peace officer, that does and that's their job anyway. Their job is to observe, to go, to enforce. So, I don't know, I just like to make a motion if I have to do it with, usually, the way we just heard Chief Cook say, with the code enforcement officers, working under the clerk's office.
So I just spoke
reporting to the sheriff
I just
department.
spoke with Sheriff Hooper, and they would not be working under the clerk's office. They would be working in the SO's office for a warrant captain.
Right.
Okay,
And
good.
so, just so you know, that's the first I've heard of it. Again, that detail, I don't think is gonna get sorted out tonight, because I'd like for our sheriff to come over and explain it to us.
Chief
And
Cook's right
also,
here as his designee
Commissioner,
judge. How
well,
can we-
Did you make a
again,
motion?
let's,
Is it a motion?
I second the motion. I don't understand. We're trying to get an ordinance passed. We have to get everything worked out. We're all here trying to get an ordinance worked out. We've all been here all afternoon trying to get an ordinance worked out. As Mr. Mata so eloquently said, we can tweak things later, but I think if Chief Cook is here representing the sheriff, and you just talked to the sheriff, and the sheriff said the person's gonna work under a warrants officer, I 100% agree with you.
so we're gonna move those enforcement officers to work in the SO's office and be a part of of law enforcement under the collective bargaining agreement. There's a lot in there. If you'll represent that to this court, Chief Cook, that would be fine. But again, that's a surprise. I wish we would have had that in advance. But if you're here to represent that you're asking for code enforcement to be switched to your office, well, to the sheriff's office, and their supervisor would then be a licensed peace officer, I think this court, could entertain that. But I have to ask you, how much time would they be devoting to that versus, their regular duties? And
Judge, you said you talked to the sheriff, correct?
I just texted him and said, hey, this is new, tell me about it. And he
Well-
said that he believed that they would work, his concept is, but I think in fairness to him, he would want to lay forth a plan to us.
Then why
We
can't we
can-
just
we can do that.
designate the sheriff as the game room permanent administrator in conjunction working with the county clerk and work out those details later so that we can get an
I'm
ordinance
fine with
passed?
that.
Okay,
Is that a
I'm fine
motion?
with that.
that's a motion.
I'm
Second.
fine with that.
Second.
And then we can work on that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Second.
But it needs to be that, and I'm certain you would agree, that a licensed peace officer has to be
Agree.
supervising licensed peace officers.
All agree.
I would agree, Judge.
Yeah.
So then, so Judge, I mean, what we would say is the Commissioners
Hold on one second.
Court would designate the Nueces County Sheriff as the game room permit administrator, working with the Nueces County Clerk for all the paperwork aspect of it, and then we would
That's
work-
correct. All right, go ahead.
That's what you said.
we need to talk about, but I'm not even working for the sheriff.
I didn't say working,
No.
I said,
He's
I said
working with you.
working with the sheriff in regards to.
How about just collaborating?
You can, you can both be it if you want to be.
Well, just
If- no,
collaborate.
I'm saying, I get it. I'm saying
Go
you're supposed
ahead.
to do the paperwork and the administrative. He's supposed to do the peace officer part. I don't care what we call y'all.
Right.
I just want to get an ordinance passed so that,
I understand that, but
And with some
before
teeth in it.
we work out the details, and I'm committed to this, there needs to be. to
Some
discuss-
details.
Absolutely, and with the county attorney and to see, you
Right.
know,
that's the contingency part.
because I don't have to do this.
Right, this is the
Right, so-
contingency part.
Okay.
You,
Okay, so,
Okay, yeah,
so
that's
make the
what I just said,
motion
to work out the
contingent
details.
upon the agreement of the county clerk.
There's gonna be an agreement, thank you.
Thank you. There'll be an agreement between the county clerk and the sheriff's office, and the county attorney will help in that endeavor.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you.
And there is a
Thank you,
second?
Thank
Is there a
you, Jeannie.
second?
we're gonna have to.
Second.
I seconded.
Go ahead, John.
Yes, I had
You,
seconded.
you
on
had
it.
seconded it.
Yes, I agree.
And did you want to have any further discussion? You were
That's why I
grabbing-
wanted to talk numbers earlier, because that was the most important part to everyone else. This stuff is not, I mean, it's still important, but it's more kind of the just technical inner workings.
Okay.
And so.
Yeah,
yes.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we know that Sheriff and Chief Cook will help work this agreement out with county clerk and the county attorney, and I'd like to see that as soon as it's reasonable, to bring it to us. I'm not
yeah,
asking for it tomorrow, but as
Right.
soon as it's reasonable.
We're gonna have to bring this back to see all these amendments that we've made in final form anyway. I
Yeah.
mean, and we're not gonna. I mean,
Okay. Anything else, commissioners, that you want to bring up tonight?
Judge, just some technical stuff, on page 6, the game room administrator now, any of my amendment would need to.
Any references will be
Any
changed.
references, you're right, would need to change. So my motion would be any references in regards to definitions or any references to game room administrator would need to change according to what we just did as well.
Yes, and there are
Second.
several like that that'll have multiple entries.
Again, let's let the sheriff make those changes. He will have some guidelines there. He may or may not want to expand his,
Horizon.
his realm, right? I mean, he may need more than what we've just articulated here today.
And so this 60 days that we voted and approved, county attorney, I know you maybe won't give legal advice to the public, to the operators, but to this court, does everything stay as is until we get this officially in place as far as the proper paperwork and the filings and all of that? Does all of this kind of just stay operating as is now over the next 60 days?
Okay.
I'd like
As
that
is, any
clarification.
business that's operating legally or any business operating illegally risks a big problem.
Well, but
We
the
can't
reality
give him
is,
permission to operate.
the reality is though,
Well-
we passed this today.
Right.
We have, until we see the final ordinance, which should be very quickly, because these are tweaks. Nothing, I mean, there's nothing in place other than a verbal ordinance, right? So, and then and plus then we have to come up with an effective date of the ordinance, right? Because
That-
we still
Once your
got.
That's where I'm
effective date,
getting
you
at
have
with
30
this.
days to,
Well, no,
90
but
days.
Get the
that-
application
that's,
in.
this has 30 days to apply, but we gotta come up with a date that says, okay, how long will it take Kara and the sheriff to work and you to come back? And so the effective date of the ordinance wouldn't be today. It can't be, because this is just, this is like a huge first step, and we're gonna pass an ordinance, and we ought to have the tweaks back pretty quick. I don't know how long it'll take, some of the other stuff to do, but that's gonna,
That's my
effective date
concern,
is gonna be
because we took some action and steps today that the public will now recognize game room regulations were passed by Nueces County, but won't go into effect at least for the next 60 to 90 days.
90 days.
If we can make that clear to the public, to the media, because operators that are here today are gonna say, okay, these are the rules to follow. Well, not necessarily, because you can't show up here tomorrow morning and file your permits. The hours of operation are probably not in effect right now, so they need to know that within a certain amount of days, then all this goes into effect. That's all I want to make sure that there's no problems with that, because I think a lot of people could get
I think it should be a
confused
time,
with it.
I think it should be a time frame where you say 90 days, the max. We should be ready to, you want to be ready? You want to be ready in 90 days?
There's a gentleman that's been waiting.
Thank you. I've got two questions. One,
Kara.
can the game rooms that are operating now operate like they are, or what happens between now and the other? Just so it's clear.
Much better said than what I was trying to get to. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so without
Okay.
us passing a final form, everything is status quo.
Okay.
And,
And
you know,
we can't give
that's,
nobody permission anyway.
Until we sign an ordinance, it's not an ordinance.
Okay.
That's just
The
the
other
law.
one that I had, the other question is, to be legal game rooms, there can be no cash sales, because the legislature would have to change that. How is this going to go?
yeah, so
He's
we're
going-
not, so
He's going like he's going right now.
That's right. We have nothing to do with that. If they're, and if the
In other words,
police
well, I'm
find-
just saying, are we going to be enforcing the state law if they're giving out cash?
Ask the police. We don't do that. I mean, I'm not
So-
being, I mean, seriously, we
I
have.
mean, the
don't-
sheriff's department, in other words, that's who's under, or they're them, all right.
And and the police, like CCPD.
Understand.
And the sheriff, right now, without this ordinance, they can go do this stuff now if they find illegal stuff.
I understand. I'm
that-
just trying to give all the game rooms some
Yeah.
guidance of what they should be doing, even in the meantime, until this is going.
They should
Because
be
if-
not- they should
So
be
you
nothing
answered
Let me
the
finish,
first question.
let me
yeah.
finish. Because if they are giving out cash, now if they're giving a certificate and they walk over here and cash it for them, that's illegal in the state.
yeah, and I think the best way to answer your question is to refer you to the law enforcement folks, because they're really gonna be in charge of that enforcement. I think that's a really important point to go back to. Nothing we do today changes the Texas Penal Code. It exists, so if they're doing something illegal, that's gonna get called on. If they're not, then these regulations should be just fine.
I'm just trying to give guidance so the
understand.
game rooms don't get in trouble in the meantime. And
Right.
understand they can't be doing that.
Well, just, sir, we can't tell them to do any different, so everything stays the way it is. I mean, we're not regulating anything right now. When we kick it off, and that's when we get involved. Right now, it's just they can do whatever they wanna do, that's their call. They get in trouble, they get in trouble.
They can't
It's up
violate
to, it's
the
up
law.
to the law enforcement to take care of it. I mean, we're not supporting it, we're not, asking them to do anything different. We can't.
Excuse me,
Yes,
Judge.
ma'am.
Just one thing, you might check with the city when they just started regulating the short-term rentals. They gave everybody a time frame that it had to be in, and it was for like 30 days. And during that time, everything was status quo, and then that didn't mean you were going to get it issued in 30 days, but you just had to have your application in. So
Correct.
you might look to the city, because they just did that with the short-term rentals.
And I know that, and that's actually where I started off with that whole 30 days. But again, I'm flexible in that I want to work with our sheriff, I want to work with the clerk, but I know that they're going to signal to me here that they need more time. But what we're looking at is not anything too long, and I think you would appreciate that too.
This,
you would-
this is today, so let me.
Right, it was
make-
actually a
let me
few
make- let me-
hours.
Yes, so let me make some calls and get some best practices.
Right, and again,
We appreciate you doing it. Thank you very much. No, I
welcome. Give me
mean,
some
it's a big
time.
help to have your office be able to jump in and do this permitting
We will,
stuff.
but give
I mean,
it- yeah.
really is.
so there was up earlier about transparency on windows, and I understand the public policy behind it. It's, if you're doing nothing wrong, you don't mind having some transparency. I don't know, because I haven't studied all the widths and the heights and things like that, but I think we can agree that transparency on the windows is good.
Which one
But
is
if you might just look at it and just make sure that it's normal as, there was a comment earlier made, if there's no windows, or what if you have a window that's adjacent to another business? I mean, make it logical and make it common sense. Just, that's all I can say about that.
Well, I just paid $4,000 to cover up all my windows.
Oh.
And the thing is, we have the entrance and the fire exit. And so that's what the fire marshal would call on, and the sprinkler system. I don't know why we need to have any windows, period. I think it, for the protection of our customers, having someone just drive by and, shoot, you never know. But to the first question that this gentleman said, that's what I was gonna ask. Do we continue operating as you say, we have 90 days and 30 days to do the application?
So what I can tell you, I cannot give you legal advice, but what I can tell you is that
If I'm operating illegally.
if you're operating legally, you're on status quo. If you're operating illegally, let me just give you some friendly advice, stop.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But I think that what we're saying is that we need, once we make these decisions that have been in a long time coming, that we are now prepared to get it into a form where we can publish it on our website and written, and do so in a way that gives everybody clear notice that this is the process to apply for these applications. Here's where you go. Here's how you do it. Here's a number to call, right? And everything we do is transparent. And I think
And
that's.
should the game room operators get together and form a committee?
Well, look, the one thing about our county attorney, and I thought she was more indulgent with you guys than she probably.
She was.
Than she probably has been on any other issue. She's listened to you all.
Yes, ma'am.
And even after tonight, I bet, can't promise, not her, but I bet she'll listen to y'all.
Yes, ma'am.
But what I think is important is that you recognize that, as I said, we've been waiting for a long time. I hope it feels good to actually do something. And it may not be everything you want, but at least you have
But it's a
certainty.
start, yes.
You have a start and you have some certainty. Because without certainty, you may get something you don't like at all.
That's true.
So if there is something that comes up, I bet she'd be willing to visit with you. And it's whether you should form a committee or whether we do a committee. We may have to just agree that maybe that's for another day. But you're always welcome to talk amongst yourselves and get back to us. Is there any other issues here that you see for tonight?
Oh.
Well, I had one that we had brought up, but I don't know if it's here, and we talked about this. We've doubled, tripled, quadrupled. I've stopped doubling how many doubles you can get on how many game rooms there are in our community. Could you point to the area where you address that?
Number of game rooms.
Which,
How many game rooms in the community?
Where is it? I know it's 100 somewhere. Hold on.
Just so you know, we came up with that because we asked for guidance. There's no real census of them.
But we drove around town, me and my silent partner, and my silent partner does own a restaurant.
You'll have to.
Yeah, this one's dead.
Judge, my question to you on this one is though,
Oh,
If
there's
these are-
not in there. It's not
if
in there
these-
yet. It
if
hasn't
And
these
we
are-
counted
hang on, sir, just a
124.
second, hang on.
Yes, sir.
If these are legally operated deals, do we need to put a limit on them if they're legal and not doing anything wrong? So I'm just trying to figure out what the
So I think
purpose
your
of
law
a limitation is.
You could
on
ask
them.
law enforcement for their guidance, but they would tell you that they believe there's many that are not doing it right.
Well, that's right.
And that's what they've told us in court before, and so putting a number on it will at least stop the duplication of.
That's why we're passing an ordinance to make sure they do it right. And like, I would love for someone to tell me to limit the number of businesses that that my competition can put up. But if they're legal and they're operating legally,
They're
then
gonna get
why would anybody want to limit a legal business? That's
And
what
would
I'm
you
trying to
put-
get to.
Would you put a cap on it? Like,
Hold
how
on,
many
sir, just
people
a
can
second.
come in
So-
from under the sun to come
So I
and
think,
open up?
I think the answer to your question lies in the guidance we've been given by Chief Merkel.
Okay.
And that guidance was 100, and I'm
But
back in
think-
the blue on this one.
But what's to say that out of those 100, we still don't, we grew 25?
Well, then I
that are-
think
that are
that the clerk
illegal.
comes to us and
So-
says, Commissioners,
Yeah.
I have 25 solid applications.
Well, but someone says there's
No, no, no.
140
I'm saying we
already.
get 100, And out of the 100, unfortunately, we get 20 that are bad, we don't know about. So I think we should leave it open, and those that are illegal, sooner or later, they're gonna get waived out, so.
Right, and someone said there's 140 already, so what, so we're gonna kick those 24 out that are in business? We can't do that. So that's what I'm trying to say is,
Either
if they're legal and we've now put a very strong regulation on them,
Let's see how many actually apply
right?
and follow the guidance, and then you can revisit it. I think you should put a,
Follow-up in
you
3,
should put a
6
cap
months,
on
whatever.
it.
Well, then
If-
at least put the cap on the number that
Well,
we
then
have.
do 1, 2, 4.
Right, then if we've got a cap, if we know there's 124, let's at least put the cap.
But I mean, to not put a cap is not to help with the problem that you're trying to solve. in
Motion
the
for
beginning.
130.
Second, there's a motion and a second.
Well, they just gave her a little time. They just said 6 more.
6 more. But like
And
we
I'll-
said, we can come back.
Yeah.
It's not a
And-
lifetime, so.
Look,
Can we do 130, 140, 136?
130 is fine, I seconded it.
Yeah, I liked 100
Second.
where I was, but,
I think a lot of them are gonna go away anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
All
really,
right.
I mean, I don't think it matters.
right. Okay, we're
I
good.
don't think so either.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I'll just abstain on that one because I liked my first number, and it passed. Again, you've got to look for guidance here, and I wish we had all the answers, and I wish that we were everything. You remember in government where they said there's 3 branches of government? Remember that? Well, it turns out that's a really important concept. And so that legislative branch is where most of these answers lie. And so we really need to remember that there's only so much that we can do. And all
So,
right,
what did we decide on the effective date? I'm sorry if I missed, we did not, so,
So we need a mo.
huh? Okay, so.
there's a lot of other clauses that are in here, Jenny, and they range from civil remedies and penalties if you have violations, all the way to reapplication. What does that look like? I mean, I'm inclined to leave everything there,
Second.
okay?
All the questions.
that's a
And
motion.
again, if there is an issue, I expect that you will let me know.
Judge, I'm ready to pass the whole motion. I'm ready to pass everything now unless somebody else has another change they want to propose. And let's just get this passed, and then if Karen needs a little time to go talk to the sheriff, whatever we need to do.
Change the effective date, 'cause
Say again?
the effective date is
Oh,
what,
no,
There's
we're
not one-
saying
there's
about
not one
the-
on here? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
Then-
There's not, okay, so
Just
that,
That's good.
we'll just
So
leave it alone?
Leave it alone.
Okay.
Virginia put together, that's,
Okay, but then the 30 days can't go into effect that's in here until the effective,
Right.
right? I mean, because that's a little ambiguous.
Well,
No.
it's 30 days from the effective
Right.
date, whatever that may
Is
be.
that what that says in here?
I believe so.
Hold on.
yeah.
Let's clarify that, because
In
that
fact,
would
nothing
that
should
would
go-
clarify it.
Nothing should go into effect until actually we start, that's,
And the last thing I want to do is spend a lot of time on this, so I'm hoping this comes back as quickly as humanly possible. Yes?
Okay,
Oh,
and I've got a
Kara's
comment
ready,
here,
though.
and I'll let you make that motion. Well, he sort of made it, Kara, but
Page
I think
11?
he might make it one.
E.
second,
And he's got a motion and a second, and now we'll hear from you. Go ahead.
We had asked for one more change in in page 24,
Okay, hold
under
on.
3.15. Oops, yes. B, for the charitable bingo exemption, that we remove the 5-year waiting period.
What is that?
Okay, give us just a second to consult. Jenny, I'm going to have you address that. There was a 5-year waiting period on the charitable bingo exception.
It says the bingo sessions have been conducted at the location on or at least a weekly basis for the least 5 years prior to the filing of the application. We ask that the 5 years be removed.
Wait, what's the effect
There
of
it
that?
is.
I got to think about that one. What's the effect of that?
Well, if they want to file for a game room.
Oh,
Yeah,
if
if
you
the
wanna
bingo
file.
hall wants to bring in the games.
Oh.
It puts everyone on a fair playing field.
I think
I don't
I think is that what you're asking for?
That's up to the court. That's,
I mean, well, what?
Jenny.
Why would
But
they have?
they can't be on the same premises, can they? The bingo and the
There's an exemption here for that.
There's an exemption that says you can be on the same premises, but is that allowed by law in the state law? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm asking that.
Yes, there is.
You can, I thought you said earlier they couldn't be in the same.
Excuse me, I'll go ahead and explain this to you real quick. State law actually says you cannot have two games of chance at the same time. So you cannot run any of the machines at the same time the bingo hall is open for a bingo game. But if it's closed for bingo, remember, 4 hours a day, then that would allow the bingo halls to also have the machines in there. And what we're saying is, instead of the 5 years, why don't you say that are currently in existence when the statute becomes in effect? We don't want any halls opening up just to open a game room, but if they're already open and running bingo games to charities, then it seems not very fair to exempt them from being able to participate in the same endeavor that everybody else
Because I
can.
guess they could do bingo in their place if they wanted to. Is that right? I mean, are
No,
they allowed to?
well, no, the bingo, actually, it's not so easy. Only charities can run a bingo game. So they would have to get a bingo license, the lessor has to get a bingo license, and each of the individuals wanting to run games, the charities have to get a bingo license. To get a bingo license, the charity has to have been in existence for 3 years. And they have to have been operating for 3 years and provide proof during all those 3 years of their charitable activities. So they can't just go and get a license today. It takes time. So you know that all these charities, anybody that would be asking for this game exemption already has been operating as a charity for over 3 years.
So are you asking to go from 5 to 3?
No, we're asking for if anybody that's operating at the time the rules become effective could have the game room.
I mean, I can't argue free enterprise on one thing and not argue free enterprise on the other. I mean, so that seems fair to me.
Sorry.
I mean, I don't know how, it's not,
So do you want to make a motion?
Make a motion.
Second. Second.
So that's what I was gonna say. I heard someone say that from the audience. So this is permissible, permissible. It's not anything that we have control over, is
Well,
it?
they have to figure if they have to figure out if
Jenny,
they're
what do you-
okay
what-
with
I mean,
staying
They
what do you
have to
say?
comply with all of their bingo rules
Okay.
regardless.
Okay.
But I believe you can allow for them to put in game rooms as allowed by their statutes at any point.
But we have that say today to allow that? That's my concern, is that they operate under state. I mean, they can operate legally under
But the state regulation is
our
not the
rules.
the 5-year part is not from the state.
Oh, got you. That's the part. That's the part, okay.
Because they already have machines in the bingo park.
No, they don't now.
Don't tell the cops that right now.
No, really, if you go down Ayers, and I'm not putting anybody on the spot, I go there to play myself. And you gotta pay cash, and they give you a number that you put in the machine. So they have like about 40 machines, but they don't operate during bingo hours. They operate whenever they're closed. So how is that, even fair?
They already do it.
Okay, so we're gonna let me hear from Ms. White, and then, we'll take this one up. We may have to get some more guidance on this from Austin. Go ahead.
The Texas Lottery Commission allows bingo halls to operate other businesses when they're not operating bingo.
Got it.
They license us for specific hours of each day of the year. We cannot have any other games going on during that time. If there may be bingo halls in Corpus Christi that are operating game rooms, just like there's 124 others. I don't know. I just know that most of the bingo halls, the people I've been working with over the last 3 years, don't operate games other than bingo. But all the other counties that have passed these ordinances say, since every employee, every worker, every landlord has already undergone high scrutiny regarding criminal background checks and all that kind of stuff, that each of our employees in the bingo hall has to be approved individually by the state of Texas. Okay? So that's why they're saying, because bingo is so highly regulated, they can have a legal game room
Right.
outside of the hours of bingo, just like any other building.
All right, so it's.
And the lottery commission
I
has
underst-
agreed to that.
Okay, I understand that now. Well, it sounds like they have the right to do it anyway. So
Well-
I don't think that,
If they get, I mean,
I
if
think-
they get in problems with the state, not with us.
right. Just remove any
Yeah.
extra layer that we created and let the state keep to the state laws. And that way we're not giving, as they say, thou shalt not giveth and thou shalt not taketh away. It's just whatever the state does, those exemptions, so we'll remove that.
So call for the question.
Places, did you vote on that?
No,
No.
call for the question.
All those in favor of the removal of the exemption? I'm sorry, the 5 years, forgive me, the 5 years mentioned in the charitable bingo exception clause, signify by saying aye.
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 I have one more issue. So I need to understand a little bit on the extra burden that we're putting on property owners, okay? So tell me what we've done there so that I can understand that, because, I mean, that seems like an extra onus, but I'm trying to understand the logic of that, right? Because I've never heard of a landlord being responsible, and it sounds like we put in some stuff here about,
What page?
well, it's talking about, and I may be misreading it, so that's what I'm asking. The one I'm getting on is number 9, where it talks about if the game room owner leases the property, they also have to sign the application, and they have to acknowledge that they could be criminally liable for illegal activity. Is that? Is that like I mean, is that even legal to, like,
Well, your county attorney drafted it.
well, but,
This is, this is a conglomeration of other statutes, and in a way, it's protection for the landlord if the sheriff comes in and locks it up.
protection how? Tell me, I'm asking.
Because some landlords may not want to have that business in their property, and if they don't want to, if the court decides you want to go down this route,
Kick them out.
and the landlord says, I'm sorry, I don't want to be responsible for you, you can't rent here, then it's not the landlord's complete discretion, it's a penalty they don't want to pay.
But if they, under this, if the sheriff comes in and shuts down somebody that the landlord didn't know was doing anything wrong, aren't we adding some liability to that landlord? Right, so
Yes.
I mean, I get what you're saying, it could help those landlords who don't want them there, but it could also put them in jail for doing,
No,
for
well,
someone.
no, but if you have a forfeiture situation,
So they could forfeit their property for something they don't even know about? This is a property rights state, that's pretty rough. I mean, if they know about it, and that's one thing.
Well,
But
how
if
do
they
we know,
don't
how do we know
about
they
it-
know about
and
it?
you're making sure here that they know about it.
No, they don't know about the illegal activity. I'm okay with, if they gotta sign something that says, I know I'm getting a game room, but if we're adding something that says, if we shut down an illegal game room and you didn't know about it, and we could seize your property over it, I mean, come on, that's a little rough. Now, if they know about it, but I think we're adding, and maybe I'm not reading this right, but to me, it sounds like we could be,
Probably have to hire his own security to walk the,
but I mean, because didn't I see, and I gotta find it, but didn't I see some
I'm fine,
seizure?
I'm fine with, for the interest of efficiencies and times, why don't you
Like the seizure part,
at
wasn't there some
least go
seizure?
and,
yeah.
that part
It'd be
can,
kinda rough.
you can bring that part after a little bit more due diligence, if you'd
Right.
like. It would give everybody a little bit more time.
Because wasn't there some seizure language in here, Jenny?
Yes.
Can you help me find that before, I just want to finish my thought on this, so where's, that one got me, and then I can't remember where
I mean, if,
okay, hang on, the end of page no, that's where it says at the game room, right, but where was the seizure language? Or did I just dream that?
No, it was in the news, yeah.
Let's see,
Judge
I own the
Canales.
property. I may be held criminally liable, operating,
Y'all just
and,
approve everything?
no, I'm not seeing it yet.
It's in italics.
She wants to get your attention.
hold on one second.
What did y'all approve?
I don't see where it's, where's the seat, where do you, I'm sorry, I'm just not, I'm looking.
He said,
We
I started, what about all the other?
Right, but there were,
That
I,
doesn't talk about forfeiture.
But then he came in with,
right, I know that part, I'm just looking for that seizure language that I thought I saw. But maybe I didn't. I mean, I don't have any problems making someone acknowledge that they know it's a game room, but I don't want them to have to be, their property be potentially seized over it if they didn't know it was illegal.
Removing that.
removing.
And maybe I just didn't, maybe I didn't,
5 years, and that's it. I thought they approved everything. I thought y'all approved it.
illegal
But she
activity
said
associated with
stop.
the game room on my property.
I want to talk about.
Right, which-
bingo, and then we stop.
Well, I mean, that acknowledgement is valid because you don't know what
Yeah.
the sheriff is going to,
You don't know
or
what?
any law enforcement officer is going to find as they
It's up to them to
proceed.
decide
Right.
whether he knew or
I-
not.
I just don't wanna.
No, no, it's up to
again,
them to decide whether he knew or not. I mean, they're not gonna say. "We're gonna take it
Again,
away
the
from you."
Texas Penal Code is active here.
Right,
You
I
don't
just-
have to worry about us filing the law. The law exists, and Chief, you wanted to say something.
I was just discussing this with Chief Green. I'm sorry, I was just discussing this with Chief Green. And we believe, we're still looking at it. He's still researching it as well, and I'll have to take a look at it. But if the sheriff's department or the police department were conducting a criminal investigation, and we could prove that the landlord was involved in a criminal conspiracy, had actual knowledge, then we could probably seize that property. So I don't know if this particular section
Is really
is that
necessary.
important, because
You already have the right.
if we do the investigation and we can prove the criminal conspiracy, then we can move towards seizure. And if we can't prove the criminal conspiracy, then the landlord is protected. Does that make sense?
It
If you
does.
take out this particular piece of it, and I don't know how the county attorney feels about that, I'm not opposed to that being removed. I don't think the sheriff would be either. Let me say that.
Yeah, I mean, the law's the law, so, I mean,
So it's a notice provision if you don't, I mean, it doesn't have to be there.
I don't know what it,
Well, if they're gonna handle it, why put it in there? I mean, it's gonna be an automatic investigation, done by the law enforcement.
I mean, I just don't know why.
And they have the call to do it or not to do it. It depends on what they find out.
It's really up to the discretion of the commissioner's court. So if you want it in there, fine. It doesn't have to be in there for us to enforce the law, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Okay, then I,
Remove it? Yeah, okay.
You wanna take it out, or I'll just leave it there?
David Loeb owns a lot of real property, a lot of commercial property here in Corpus Christi. He told me that he rented to a game room. He had no idea what it was and what was going on in there. When he found out, he wanted to get rid of it, but he couldn't get rid of it. And the sheriff's office, and he met along with CCPD, and he had to get those departments involved to make sure he got the game room out of there without any repercussions.
right, but that.
So I think there is a need for the landlord. David would have liked to have known more about who he was renting to, and he would have never gotten himself in that bind. And he reported that at the city council meeting.
But that doesn't.
Yeah, but he wouldn't know who he's renting to, I mean.
He didn't know it was a game room? I mean,
No, but the landlord, you tell them that you're gonna, open up a game room,
David,
they're not gonna hit you with the regular rent. They're gonna hit you with $4,000 or $5,000.
look,
They knew about it.
if the landlord, if we want to put something that says the landlord has to sign something that they acknowledge that this is a game room, fine. But, fine. And that does what?
Hey,
So
why
let's
don't we
just-
start there?
Let's just get rid of all the illegal, I mean, let's just say.
Let the law
landlord
stand for
acknowledge.
the law, and then go ahead and make that stipulation.
Right, so I would move that we change item 12 on number 9, page 9, to be an acknowledgement by the landlord that simply states he or she knows they are
Acknowledges.
renting to a game room. Period.
Second.
Everything after property gone, correct?
Yeah, I think I would just start the whole thing over, honestly. Yeah, I think that's right, Jenny. I think you could put a period after 12 and the rest of it goes. because that means they have to sign something that says they know they're renting to a game room. That should take care of, right? Okay.
Chief Green, does that sound good?
Okay.
Chief handle it, chief, got it.
All right. Okay, so clerk had just said to me earlier, are we now at a point where you can adopt? Yes, ma'am?
You need a vote, you need a vote.
3.3
Yeah,
and
you need-
3.9.
Oh, we got to vote on the one I
need to
just
vote.
did, Judge.
Right.
Yes.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Got to
to
vote
vote.
on the one I just made. I'm sorry.
Okay, you've got the motion
There's a second and
and
then,
a second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, County Clerk.
Got it.
Okay, now, I'm sorry. What?
I'm sorry, the references on 3.3 for the gun signs,
3.3?
yes. 3.9, I don't think that there's authority
Wait, 3
to do
point,
that.
are you doing?
3.3
3.3, what are you saying about that?
needs to be removed.
Okay. I would, based on legal advice, I would make a motion to remove 3.3.
you can't put a sign out there?
You can't require it.
Second.
The business owner can make that decision.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Texas law.
And that ties to 3.9 or no?
Yes, 3.9
That has to do with the firearm
Okay,
signs,
so let's,
okay?
you want to do 3.3
What
first?
is it?
All of 3.3?
So what is?
Yes.
Okay, so the
Well,
motion is.
hold on.
Well, not the game room, just the
No,
firearm.
right, just the
It's
part,
just, it was the
C.
requirement of the signs.
Right, no, the firearm only.
Which part, Jenny?
C, the game room shall have the outside door marked with a sign that says, firearms prohibited in the appropriate size lettering.
Okay, so.
The
you're-
law
you're-
does not allow us to
You're
do
saying the
that.
law provides that we cannot do that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then I would amend my motion to 3.3C only be removed. So there's,
Second.
For a second. Okay, all those in favor of the deletion to comport with Texas law signify by saying aye.
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 and what was 3.9, Jean?
3.9 is on page 21, prohibited weapons.
What's the,
Well, it's under,
what are you asking for there?
You cannot,
All
we
of
don't
it?
believe you can require the firearms thing.
So,
So I think it's all of it. I'm still reading it.
okay.
I'm not sure. Is there any part to say on 3.9? No part. Remove the whole thing.
Say again?
Remove the whole thing.
Okay.
Legal counsel's advice that we cannot have this in there, I would move that we remove section
So
3.9.
moved.
Okay.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anything else that needs to be cleaned up? Judge, then if not, I would move passage of the ordinance as amended, subject to the review and of the final ordinance by the court.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have another court on the 27th. That's probably way too soon to bring back a clean copy. But I believe the next court might be okay.
11th?
Please aim for it. Let us know if that's not a possibility.
May 11th?
Yes, sir.
That's gonna, the only hang up on that one, yeah, aim for it's fine. Yeah, aim for it. Let's,
I think I've said it.
Yeah.
Where there's flexibility.
yes, ma'am.
And so having said that, it's not quite, but almost 8:30. I would like to propose to the court that we do adjourn simply because we've made good progress. Sometimes all's well that ends. You just need to stop and try to get us to the next part and point. I will say that when you see a final document, don't be surprised if you see something that might need some editing.
Tweaking.
That's why we're here. We edit documents all the time. I also will see what we can do by working together with the sheriff and the county clerk, so that maybe on May 11th, we can make some announcements about what we've got planned. If we get anything earlier, you'll be the first to know and to hear. Again, the courtroom got thin. For those of you that stayed the whole time,
Thank you.
our thanks. For the media that's here, that's a lot to process. I would encourage you to ask before you print. If you have questions, seek out the counsel of the county attorney, because she took, obviously, very good notes on the deletions, the page numbers. And just please remember that our intention is to get a clean copy to you so that there's no doubt in anybody's mind what we passed. If I had to sum up today, I think we listened to all sides and we respected all sides' voices. We, I would say, dealt with the precepts of regulations. We hope that this aids those that go to game rooms where they believe they're having fun and doing legal activities. I hope that also helps law enforcement for those that are doing illegal activities. And for all of the commissioners that stayed, it's time to adjourn. May I suggest that we do adjournments in memory on another day where it's more proper? I'll save mine. I just would like to say that this weekend is the service of Augustine Gus Rivera. He was a bailiff in our courthouse for over 20 years. I will honor him more appropriately at our next court, but since the service is happening this weekend, please keep the Rivera family in your prayers. He was a great servant to Nueces County. The time is 8:31, and we do stand adjourned.